What's up, guys, and welcome back to another amazing episode of I'll Call You Right Back podcast. And whenever I say it's amazing, I'm telling you, this is everything I want in my podcast. It's just, everything about it was great. It was a fun episode. These two guys were hilarious, but we'll get to that. First thing is first, I wanted to thank Turner Dairy Farms. They are proud sponsors of the podcast. And in this episode, completely organic Turner's plug, completely organic. And I have to bring that up because, who doesn't love Turner Dairy Farms and all their products? Colin and Evan are the owners of Silver Horse Coffee, which is located in Donegal, PA, and they are also owners of Standing Wave Coffee Roasters, which is a new coffee roaster that is opening up locally. So, me and Antoinette, my wife, a few years ago, were driving down the one road that there is in Donegal, and we saw, a coffee shop, and, we love coffee, and we decided to stop. And as soon as we stopped in there, we were pumped about it. And we were pumped about it because it wasn't your cookie cutter coffee shop that was just like a quick money grab. It was a coffee shop that had attention to detail. It had great products in there, locally made products. I walked in there, the first thing I saw was a Pittsburgh candle, PGH candle company, I'm sorry. But it was like, local made products. And it's like they have these lighters called the Jeep lighters, and they are a unique lighter. People always have Bics. Everyone got a Bic. Ain't nothing wrong with a Bic, but a Jeep lighter is, that's a conversation piece. That's a statement. And these guys had those lighters over Bics. So the point of that being, why are you going on a rant about a lighter? These guys are making conscious choices about putting each product that they have in their shop in there for a reason. And that is what sticks with me. Evan and Colin of Silver Horse Coffee and Standing Wave Coffee are my guests this week. I usually don't interview more than one person at a time. It tends to be distracting. But the episode was absolutely amazing. I was pumped about it, and Antoinette listened to it. She loved it, and we just talk about all kinds of great shit. We talk about how two kids growing up in the sticks, basically. Donegal up by Seven Springs is kind of like the sticks. A lot of it is just like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's farmland, like I have family that lives right up there in the same area that they do. And I spent a lot of time there whenever I was younger. So it's a place that holds close to my heart. And it's like, if you think about growing up on, 50-acre farm, when you're young and you can't drive, there's not too much shit to do. So the life of someone who lives in that sort of area is different than people that are living around the city, plain and simple. So I wanted to talk about how Colin and Evan, got to where they are today with this coffee shop. It's like, what did they do growing up? It's like, how did they both like coffee? Like, how did they start to, what was their initiation into coffee? So we talk about that. We talk about, how the idea of starting their own coffee shop came to be. We talk about, sourcing beans and upping the quality level of their products. And we talk about all kinds of other stuff. Colin is like the coffee guru. Okay. So Colin is you'll listen to this episode and you'll hear the very technical talking of the coffee as far as, quality, where the sourcing of beans is. And that's Colin's forte. And Evan's forte is the business end of it all. And they both are, you could tell they're a good team. So Colin pours me, or does a pour over of their Sumatra blend, or their Sumatra roast coffee, from Standing Wave that they brought me. And, it was fantastic. But he talks me through the entire process of that. So it's cool to hear about that. It's cool to hear about just how all this stuff came to be, and, all the little side tangents that we go off of. And that's why I love a podcast. That's why I do a long form podcast. And, I'm excited about this episode because I'm pretty sure that this is the furthest out as far as, a business. I think that this is the furthest away business from, the city that I've talked to. I interviewed my buddy who lives in Colorado, that's over there. But as far as, businesses, usually I talk to people that are around the city of Pittsburgh because, that's what's close to me. That's that's what I'm used to. So it's nice to be able to get out and kind of, touch on some of these awesome businesses in a different area. So, this episode with Colin and Evan is just, the epitome of what I would like in a podcast. You learn from it, and you learn from it in a way that is not like, it's not like boring, like if you want to learn about coffee and shit, you go on Google and you start Googling shit. Yeah, you could go down that type of rabbit hole, but I don't know. I like to listen to podcasts because I like to hear people's conversations and learn through that, because that's like, it's just an organic conversation, and different things are brought up, different random ideas, and that's the best thing about my podcast. And I appreciate everyone listening. So without further ado, episode 143 of I'll Call You Right Back podcast with Colin and Evan Frye of Silver Horse Coffee and Standing Wave Coffee Roaster.
I gotta use the telephone.
Hello?
Telephone.
I'll call you right back. Call you right back.
Telephone.
I'll Call You Right Back podcast.
Evan lives in DC.
Yeah. Now, so what did you guys do? You obviously own a coffee shop. I'll talk about that in the intro. That'll give you guys like an intro of what it is. I usually don't just like have people like introduce themselves, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Just because it's better to just have a rolling start. But
Gotcha.
You have it's a cool coffee shop right off the Donegal Exit, and I thought that it was like, I like coffee. I go around all these different places and try to, find. I don't know. I like coffee. I like to see all the different ways people do it. So how did you guys even get into wanting to get into coffee?
So growing up in Donegal, we always knew there was a market opportunity there. It's, they call it the gateway to the Laurel Highlands. It's a turnpike exit, but basically to go to Hidden Valley, Seven Springs, Ohio Pile, Nebacolin, Fallen Water, you've got to pass through Donegal, essentially. Yeah. And growing up there, we just had a McDonald's and a Dairy Queen. It's actually the highest grossing Dairy Queen on the East Coast.
That one that's right off the exit?
They do. They're open year round, and they do more food volume than any other Dairy Queen. So,
yeah, I remember that. I remember like a Subway there.
Yeah, that Subway's.
And then what else did I remember there? There was like, because my family lives in. We have family that lives right in Acme.
Oh yeah, that's where we live.
And like, okay, so like they live on Kessler School Road.
Yeah.
Like, my uncle has been the head of the ski patrol at Seven Springs for Andy Marenko.
Oh yeah.
You probably.
I roughly know who he is.
Yeah, he's like a Sam Elliott type.
Yeah,
nice.
But he's been up there my entire life. They've all been up there my entire life. They have two younger kids that are relatively close to my age. So like we were up there, 6, 7, 8 times a year.
That's awesome.
So it was kind of like, it was cool to find a business that was, in an area that I'm familiar with, that was, not like a big chain or anything like that, because like, as I'm getting a little bit older, I'm becoming more conscious of, like wanting to support the community and like the local businesses and everything. And, I do this podcast and I talk to all these different people and shit, but it's like, I don't have an opportunity really to go out as far as like, Donegal is.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Most of the people I interview are right around here. They have like local businesses, but I thought that was interesting. So, I mean, when did you both get into coffee?
Yeah, so Colin got into the coffee game first, and for us, he'll talk about coffee in a second, but we got into that because a a few reasons. One, as you described, like there's this contrast of small business, independent businesses, and then there's these chains. And I'm sure he'll talk about commodity coffee, this concept that, they make coffee for everyone, but no one specifically, right? Our thing was the margins on coffee can be pretty good depending on how you either vertically integrate or your supply chain or whatever the jazz is behind that. But coffee is a great tool to have a conversation, and the premium aspect, the non-commodity coffee, the people that we've connected through this, getting our brand out there. It was just, we come from a pizza thrower. Our dad makes pizzas and everyone loves pizza.
Yeah.
And we thought coffee was our generation sort of like pizza move. Like, how do we enter into the marketplace, and what product can we provide that people want? And
that's such an interesting thought process. It's like, pizza shops were a dime a dozen, and like nowadays, like coffee shops are opening up everywhere. It's a very, very big thing, just like microbreweries and stuff.
Exactly.
And
that whole movement, we're trying to ride that wave.
It's pretty interesting. So you said you got into it like, because I'm late to coffee. I didn't really start getting into it heavy until probably like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Where I used to be the Frappuccino in a bottle.
Yeah. I like it sweet. He's a purist.
Yeah, like I've graduated to the dark side. Yeah. I like black coffee.
Nice.
And but I used, for so long I was getting like Starbucks Frappuccino bottles, and my wife ended up working at a Starbucks for like 6 years.
Oh, nice.
Where she kind of like developed like a passion for it. To an extent, for whichever way you can at a big chain like that, but it came to me late in life, and so I know that a lot of people aren't like drawn to it when they're young.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to hear whenever it happens.
Well, to piggyback on that, like our grandparents, black Folgers coffee from the war until today, like that's what they drink. Like if Colin were to brew my grandfather a cup of coffee,
they wouldn't like it.
It would be blow his mind. He wouldn't even think it's coffee.
Yeah.
So like now, I don't know if you want to start talking about like supply chains, but whether or not you're seeking out like a single origin, a coffee with a specific taste, or you create a blend where you combine flavors to sort of balance it out. What we're trying to do, we're launching our own coffee roasting company now.
Yeah.
And we've been doing all this brand development, all this R&D to deliver basically 4 roasts that are approachable, still gourmet, hit all of those flavor notes that people are familiar with, but like they're a higher quality bean. Like I said, through this supply chain, we've got a good line on a green buyer from St. Louis.
Kansas
City. And, basically we get high quality green beans. We have a sick roaster that we bought out of Chicago, Probat. Shout out Probat. Can I do shout outs?
Yeah.
Shout out Probat. And then it's my brother Colin is the roaster, and how he works the machine, the timing. You basically have to hit these roast profiles consistently, and that's what we exactly temperatures, pressures, timing, moisture content.
I started roasting mine a couple years ago.
Oh, no way.
Through Black Forge Coffee. Familiar with that?
Yeah, they're right down the street from my next shop.
Oh, okay, yeah. So like they're right in they're Allentown or McKees Rocks.
It's Beltuver, Allentown.
Yeah.
That's right. I live right there.
So I've been working, I've known them forever. I've been going to their place forever, and going through like the city and everything, like there's so many different places that you can go and grab a cup of coffee. And like, I'm sort of like, I'm kind of picky with what I get. People tend to like the medium side roast of coffee, but I like a dark roast. I like more of a bolder flavor, but before we get into all this technicality of coffee, I'm curious to know like what you guys were like as kids. Like, what were you doing up there, like living in? Because that's like where they live, where my cousins live. I know it's a certain lifestyle, and I've actually talked to him on this podcast just because it was so interesting growing up as kids, because like we were just in this 50, 60 acre farm.
Yeah, the sticks.
Yeah, just like making our own fun.
Yeah.
Before we could drive.
Yeah.
So it was just like such a very, very unique and like close, it's close to my heart, because it's like we did so much. It was fun as hell up there.
That's awesome.
Ripping in the woods. Like, is that like where you guys grew up?
Yeah, we were riding quads, go-karts. We grew up on a farm. We had horses.
That's dope.
Yeah, and I mean, just in terms of how it developed, like, you know, you grow up in the country and you totally appreciate it. I live in a city now, miss the sticks, but like we're both geologists in terms of academic training, and like just growing up the woods, like the stuff we did was like, you know, hang out in the woods, look at rocks, look at trees, go fishing.
Yeah.
So
Did you just go to Geibel?
No, we went to a little private school, Valley School of Ligonier in Ligonier.
Okay.
So it's like K through 9, and then we both went to Shady Side Academy. That's why we went to high school down here.
Oh, all right.
I got the boot and went to Fox Chapel.
All right.
Rough stuff.
Rough stuff.
Rough stuff.
Now, I mean, like up there, you're doing all this and like
skiing and all that jazz.
yeah, all this stuff. Like they were downhill skiing and shit, and it's just like it's such a weird. It's like a weirder way of life up there because it's like up in the mountains. It's like you got like ski lodge people, and you got like
and that's what we needed. Like, you know, the tough thing about a small business is like the margins are small.
Yeah.
And, you know, we have to have sort of higher price points. You know, Acme, Donegal, it's a poor area.
Yeah.
And we definitely, you know, try to balance the bougie money coming in from the city versus like our bread and butter people that are there all the time.
Yeah, you got to hit that point.
Hit them both. I mean, we're so dependent on weather. Like if the ski season's bad, we'll have a bad winter for sure. We call our worst months are April and November because it's mud season up there, and like no one's looking at leaves, no one's going out. So we have to hit these. We offer as nice stuff as we can, try to hit those margins, but still doing like, you know, we have rewards programs, we have uniformed service like discounts. We do all these little things locally to try to reduce our price point for our customers. But, you know, we're still a small business. It's still pretty expensive.
But you guys have like you guys aren't just like a cookie cutter like coffee place.
Yeah.
Like that's what kind of like stuck out to me and my wife whenever we walked in there. Like you have a nice selection of like a kind of like a retail end of it all. You got Pittsburgh Candle Company and like places like that.
Shout out Pittsburgh Candle Company.
Yeah, so like I've worked with them at another store that I worked at, and she's always been cool, and it's cool to see people that just have those products in there that you already know about.
Yeah.
So it's like you guys source good stuff.
Thanks.
Had good coffee, and like it was easy to it was easy to make an impression on us because like you guys had good food there.
Yeah.
And I think I bought out every pink lighter that time. Yeah.
The Jeeps.
Yeah, and like
I forgot you like those.
I just like all the stuff that you guys had in there, and I thought that you could tell that you were trying to do something different up there.
Yeah.
Besides just like a quick off the exit coffee shop, it's like it's a little bit more elevated, and I
appreciate it.
You know, you could definitely see that. So, I mean, when did you get into like liking coffee?
I didn't really drink it till maybe I was like halfway through college, and kind of like you, I would get like mochas.
Yeah.
But I went to college in this Colorado mountain town, Durango, Colorado.
Yeah.
So they have like nice coffee shops, and I kind of saw that's why my coffee shop looks the way it does. Is because it's a Western style coffee shop. It's supposed to be modeled kind of like it would be in Durango, Colorado. But didn't really drink it, you know, till I was a little bit older, and then I was a gold miner right out of college, so I moved to Alaska, and I worked like as an underground gold miner.
Like gold mining.
Yeah, so I got carted off to this. I had to like get out of the lower 48, so I kind of went and hid out in Juneau, Alaska, where a girlfriend from college lived, and so I got this job at this like the highest producing silver mine in America, and tons of gold. So it's on this island off the coast of like right between like Canada. So Alaska looks like this. So like Seattle's 1,000 miles down here, 1,000 miles to Juneau, 1,000 miles to Anchorage, and then I used to work up in the Arctic. It's 1,000 miles up there, so I did a lot of traveling.
That's crazy.
So I'd be out in this mine for, you know, like 5 weeks at a time and living underground and stuff, and they would get in like pallets of like Folgers and Swiss Miss.
Yeah.
And they would mix it together, and it was called a mocha. And it'd like rot your stomach. It was so bad, but you just drink gallons and gallons of it.
Yeah, just like.
And so, yeah, just like blue collar dudes just, you know, pounding shitty coffee. And so I was, you know, just started drinking coffee. Blue collar dude, you know, wearing Carhartts, drinking coffee. And then gold tanked, and I got laid off, and I started working in the oil field.
Yeah.
So I worked for a company called Halliburton, doing like directional drilling and geology work. So I got carted off like all over the country. And so I didn't really have a life, so I kind of lived through the mail. So I'd live out on drilling rigs and these like remote places. So I worked up like above the Arctic Circle, but like in Prudhoe Bay, like where the ice road truckers go.
Wow.
They used to bring us food.
That's crazy.
So I got mail. So I would be like, I'd Google like best coffee shop in Portland, and I'd get coffee from Portland and coffee from New York because I had nothing else to do. So I'd get this really expensive, top shelf coffee shipped to me to the Arctic, and I carried it around, kind of pretty much what you see here, because I had to go like on planes and helicopters and all this shit, so you can't take that much.
Yeah, you have to have your own setup.
Yeah, so like I kind of got this super minimalist setup for making coffee, and it's like very affordable and it's cheap. So I'd be up there in a shipping container, it'd be like -65 outside, and I'd just be like cranking, making coffee, and I get these, Southern boys from like
Texas. What was
Texas.
the movie? Was it Saving Private Ryan or Black Hawk Down, where Ewan McGregor?
Yeah, Grimes.
Yeah,
Grimes and Black Hawk Down.
Got to be coarse.
Yeah.
The coarse Grimes.
Yeah,
that's always what it reminds
me.
me
My
of.
little thing. I'm not like much on drinking or anything, so like coffee's like my little like nerd out way, because there's just so much to it, and it's how I kind of explain it to people. It's very similar to like top shelf liquor or top shelf wine. Everything that goes into good wine very similarly goes into coffee, as far as like the terroir, like the soil, the climate, the altitude, all these things go into producing better and better coffee.
Yeah, and all the different flavors.
Yeah, that comes from different regional areas. The soil, like if it's volcanic soil, something you'd find like in the Indo-Pacific region or Hawaii, you're not going to find in Colombia or Brazil. You're going to have these different aspects that creates the soil. It's going to, it's the same plant. There's two species of coffee. There's the Robusta and the Arabica. I'm sure you've heard of like Arabica, but the other one, Robusta, it's like sativa or indica, something similar.
Yeah.
But Robusta is it's easier to grow. It's more resilient to blight, which is like a huge global epidemic for coffee blight. And it actually has more caffeine to it. So that's what like your Folgers and your Maxwell House, that's the main coffee used for that. It's just generally shittier coffee, what is called like commodity coffee. So you got your oil, you got your gold, you got all these commodities, coffees right up there. After oil, coffee is the most valuable commodity in the world. But it's the human hand that kind of ruins it. It all starts out the same, kind of like just an orange grows on a tree. It's like once you pluck that orange, whoever screws it up from that point on, that's going to determine the quality.
That's interesting to think about that.
So yeah, you get these coffees from all over the world, and it's how you handle it determines really the price. But I get the really specialty coffee, the Arabica, from like specific regions, and basically the more you narrow down the source of the coffee, generally that's the higher quality. Similar to like a wine, you're not going to have like these blends from all these different vineyards. You get the one dude, his farm, his plant, his world, and that generally produces a better cup, and the price kind of goes up with that. So that's how I got into.
You pay for.
Yeah, so when I got into it, I was getting coffee from all some of the best roasters all across the country, because that's all I had to do.
Where did you notice that you liked more? Because I've went to the West Coast, and I noticed that the coffee over there was significantly better.
Well, it's like I said, it's how you source it. It's what someone wants to sell you. It's very similar to like the quality, like the weed. You got the middies or you got the high stuff.
I'm more talking about the scene of it, though.
Yeah, but that kind of comes with it too. It's just like where are people trying to impress. Like in Seattle, there's wealthy people. They can afford the higher prices. I mean, my coffee, like by the pound, it's like $28. I mean, you can get Folgers, you can get 4 pounds of that stuff.
I get it.
So wherever you have like a scene, New York, Seattle, Denver, Kansas City, St. Louis, these generally in the cities, that's where you find the higher quality coffee.
My best coffee that I got out there was right going into Mount Rainier in one of them little shanty shacks.
Yeah.
Those drive-through things.
The Pacific Northwest generally has higher quality coffee. They don't go to gas stations to get coffee. They have those little drive-through huts.
Yeah. That's
what I'm kind of trying to bring to Pittsburgh, is those drive-through huts. You put a couple people in a
there's
hut.
only one in here now, and it sucks.
Yep. It's kind of just how it is. Like everything comes to Pittsburgh a little like 15 years later.
We were just talking about that. It's
so
like we're
people
always
still
behind.
here go to Sheetz. People still go to McDonald's here. They're starting to go to Starbucks. That's why you see Starbucks popping up like crazy. But what Starbucks is really good at is getting people used to paying $7 for a drink.
Yeah, for sure.
Their drink is not worth $7, and the fact that the preparation that goes into it and the quality of the product, but they get you with the marketing and the pizzazz.
Yeah,
That's
for sure.
where you're getting
It's
it.
just like it's second nature.
And eventually, like the next generation, like not our parents, but us and people below us, they're going to go to specialty coffee shops. So we're kind of early in that scene.
Do your parents
here.
drink coffee?
Not at all.
Ours don't. No.
See, my mother drinks no coffee at all. She's a either hot tea, but mostly fresh brewed iced tea. And my dad drinks coffee every day, but he goes to the same Bind Fly right next to our house, just goes down there and
Crappy coffee.
drinks this garbage
Yep.
coffee. It's just
Yep.
like shitty water. And he
Yep.
does, if I give him, I'll give him some of the bags of coffee that I'll roast, and, he'll be like, yeah, this is good. But it's like, he doesn't like it enough to want to go to elevate his taste of it. He just wants his everyday. It's like,
Yep.
it's like, just part of a ritual. But it's interesting that like people are getting more involved with it. No, not really too many older people. They're creatures of habit where it's just Folgers, the red or the blue.
That's the silent majority when it comes to coffee.
Yeah, but now it's getting bigger because it's like you got the younger ages that are like getting real into IPAs and like microbreweries. That's what I equate coffee to. I don't drink it all. I never did, and like I don't really, like for a long time before I liked coffee, I never understood the love and like the passion and the exploration that you could do in like the brewery world. And it's like people are like have all these different beers and it's like all these different notes, and like you said about like people have the same love with weed, but it's like after I started getting into it, I kind of like understand it a little bit more, where the people that are into the IPAs are, that's how I'm into the coffee. It's like we'll buy all these different bags and make them all, and it's like it's a different world in each cup.
Yeah.
And you could taste the quality, but it's like it's interesting because it's like I try to go, like anytime I travel or anywhere, we'll buy like a nice bag, and like sometimes I think they taste like shit. Sometimes I think like a cheaper bag tastes way better. Like I don't always hate Starbucks coffee. I think for any of the chains around here, like if that's your last choice, like I think Starbucks is the best chain for
Better
sure.
than Caribou coffee. That's
Caribou is the worst.
Yeah.
Dunkin' is the absolute worst.
Tim
coffee.
Hortons isn't terrible.
Oh,
I
I
hated
that too.
I mean, Dunkin' coffee is probably the most popular. Aside from Starbucks, I think Dunkin'.
Yeah, Dunkin' got to be the most popular.
They produce the most in the country. Tim Hortons is right there, and it's just whenever like you scale up coffee production to that size, it's actually incredible that they can produce a consistent product. I mean, it's just like McDonald's. They get some of the smartest people in the world
Absolutely.
to figure this out. And it's just like you can go to any Tim Hortons, it's going to taste the exact same.
100.
Their roaster is the size of your house.
I know.
And they use liquid nitrogen to cool it, or there's huge fires. I mean, like industrial coffee roasting, especially the grinders, like they'll have fires. I mean, because it's just
it's
huge.
It's interesting because whenever I was roasting, like as like it's going around in that fucking barrel, you have the tester and you're pulling that out, looking at the color to change.
A trier.
A trier, same thing, whatever. But you pull that out and you're looking at that and you're seeing it go from like green to like a golden color, and it's
Hit
like
those cracks.
I was like the first and the second. Like I'm definitely like. I feel like people don't understand the process of it. Like you can get super deep into it, and it's like a temperature change has a flavor change.
Yep.
The longer you leave it in there has a different flavor change. But I was asking the guy that was teaching me how to roast. I was like, how do they do this on such a big scale and make it so consistent? Because
It's hard, man. It really
I know,
is hard.
because it's like if you leave it a minute later, you're gonna have a whole different. I mean, it's a whole different thing.
And
So
they roast thousands of
I
pounds. at a
know, and
time.
it's crazy.
To
But he was
stop it
telling
from
me,
cooking. That's the hard thing.
and he was telling me that like it's just basically like a big conveyor belt that it
Yeah.
just goes through like the processes, and it was just like blowing my mind learning about it because
Yeah.
it's like a whole nother world that you could become obsessed with. Definitely cool, but it's like so. I mean, you're obviously into it. Like, are you not that into coffee where you're carrying around a grinder and a?
So I'm into coffee. I'm interested in the business side of all.
I know.
of it.
I could tell. Yeah.
Like that's what we're a good partnership because he's the purist, he's the gourmet.
Yeah.
And then on the back end, I try to figure out how to pay for everything.
You keep his dreams in line.
Yeah, like we have ideas, but it's all about sequencing these events, growing from our first shop, bringing this roaster online, reducing those costs. Like that's what I'm excited about.
Absolutely.
Squirreling around there, and like he was saying, Like, we would not exist without Starbucks. They were that second wave of coffee that recreated this landscape that gave us, an independent shop, an opportunity to throw our hat in the ring. Like,
it gave the younger people a reason to start liking coffee again.
And you know, now everyone points at Starbucks as like this evil demagogue or something, but like, they paved the way for all of these little independent roasters to come online. And now we can all say to Starbucks and use that as that baseline where everyone can speak to, oh, I like the blonde roast at Starbucks, and I'm looking for something like that. When they come to our shop, it's like trying to nail that down. That's where he comes back in and tries to tailor the experience.
Yeah.
And then I'm just on the business side trying to execute consistently. How do we keep turnover at a high quality level to get that throughput, to get that revenue, to pay down all of these things,
and not like sacrifice any quality.
It's not sacrifice. And I appreciate you bringing up like PGH Candle. Like, we don't deal with any major company for anything. Like,
it's important for that though, and like that's what I like, and that's what I feel like people that are not. You know, you guys have a biased view because it's your place.
Yeah.
You know, you think it's the best, and as you should. Just like, you know, this is my podcast. I think it's the fucking best. So it's like people that are not involved with it look for things and reasons to get attached to a place. That's why we stop there every time we go.
Appreciate it.
Because it's like you guys do cool things to. You start cutting corners and getting like, you know, just chain shit.
Yeah.
And I like that. I like that like not everyone has these lighters, and it sticks out to me because it's like, you know, you guys think about these things in a different level. Like, Ian's could have just got fucking Bic lighters and like just kind of be like regular about it. But it's cool to see those different like flavors of everyone's like, you know, what everyone wants to put out in the world. But
everything in there is something I use personally, generally.
Yeah. So like now on that note, like, what do you? This isn't both of your full-time jobs, is it?
No, well, I mean, so when we opened, I've been working in the oil field for like 8 years, and it's like it's very cyclical. And so the nature of my job I'd work for like 300 plus days a year. And
yeah,
so
I know.
You're out for months, and then you come home and you have nothing to do for like a month. So kind of started this business, but I got laid off in 2015 and didn't want to pay my student loans.
Yeah.
So I went and got my MBA from Waynesburg, and we got the money together for the shop. So I'd work the shop all day, and then I'd go to night school until I got my MBA. And then by the time I graduated, I got picked back up by the oil field. And so we had a pack of girls run the place for me while I'd be at work.
Yeah.
And that's how it went for like the next 2.5 years. I'd be at work, I'd be gone for a month or so, and then I'd come back and just kind of take care of everything. And Evan was 100% remote. So he would just do the security cameras, do the computer, whatever he could do. But we just kind of had to like not be there for both of our careers. And then back recently in November, I got laid off. In December, I got laid off again, and they gave me a big severance package because I worked there for a while.
Yeah.
And it was just something like, okay, like this is how we're gonna do this. Let's get a roaster and go full time. And now I'm at my shop like all the time, and so quality's gone up. Like, we're doing really, really well. And now that I roast my own coffee, I make all my own syrups. We make all of our own cookies. Like, I just do all this stuff like in-house now, and so quality's just gone up.
Yeah, because you're always there now.
Yeah, and like, so we've had a much more steady stream of revenue, and we're saving so much money kind of cutting out. I mean, last year our coffee bill for the roaster in town was like $70,000+.
Yeah.
And we're much busier now, and I roast it all myself.
Yeah, so you're saving money there for sure.
Boom,
so that's
right
awesome.
there. So I just created like a little career for myself because the oil field sucked at. I mean, it's a terrible life. So.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends that do it, and the quality of life is...
you make a bunch of money, but like you just suffer, and you get poisoned.
I know,
and, like,
that's what we're saying.
I was losing my hair. I put on a ton of weight, and now, you know, all I do is kayak and swim and roast coffee. Like, that's my week.
Yeah, like...
So I've worked in Ohio Pile my entire life, so I've been like a professional river guide. So that's why the whole standing wave...
Yeah.
Makes more sense. I don't know if it makes more sense.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I saw the name, but I wasn't a way for you guys to like,
so
bring it in and
even though I was, raping and pillaging the earth, I'm a big kayaker and, advocate of rivers, and we try to donate as much money. Evan also works in oil and gas, but he does it from a more regulatory standpoint. But now I'm out of that industry, and I'm trying to repay some of the. Yeah, I've put 1 million almost 1 million feet of hole into this earth, so I've got to make up for those one at a time.
Yeah, that's respectable. Now, as yins were growing up, like, were you guys close growing up?
Yeah, I mean,
Like, did you guys ever have a plan? Like, like we're gonna open a business together.
no, I wanted to be a geologist since I was like in 6th grade. So I wanted to
Really?
be like a coal miner or some type of mining.
That's interesting.
So yeah, that's why I went to school specifically for gold
Were
mining.
you one of them like young kids that had rocks, like a box
Yeah,
full of rocks?
at
and
our
shit?
school, there's a 6th grade rock project, and every 6th grader has to do it. And
Yeah.
like our rock projects were always epic, like some of the best they'd ever seen, because we would go get, instead of like 50 samples required, we'd have like 130.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
we've always loved rocks. So that was, one thing. And then we've always liked rivers. We both grew up and working in Ohio piles. So.
Yeah, outdoorsy shit.
Yeah. So it
Means
just
Boy
kind of,
Scouts and shit.
No, we're not just
but
from
I've
the
almost
sticks.
drowned a few,
Now, I mean, for you guys to grow up and kind of do that, kind of like get into what you're getting in now, it's like, is the goal to obviously do this full time? Like,
I do.
So
Yeah.
for him, like this whole year's been crazy for everyone, but
I know it gotta be.
yeah, but we, everyone fled the cities, and where did they go? They went to the woods.
Yeah.
And our November this year, so now that we've been in business for a few years, we have like the data, we can see these trends and know, prepare for big weekends or all of that. But this whole year has been incredibly busy for us. So
Really?
unexpected. Oh, it's been nuts. Like our supply chains have fallen out just like everyone else, but
Yeah.
like people, so I live in DC. DC's a ghost town. Everyone that comes into our shop now has Maryland plates, DC plates.
I guess,
Ohio
yeah.
plates.
I went to a cabin twice since this quarantine, and it's like,
you can't find a rental property anymore. You can't
Yeah.
buy a cabin up there now. The market is this year's been crazy.
That's
But,
interesting.
Yeah, so now we've been able to essentially create his full-time job where he's doing both the shop and the roasting aspect. And from our shop and now launching the Standing Wave Coffee Roaster Company, how we want to brand that is, local to us, where 5% of every sale that we make is going directly back. In terms of philanthropy, we're all about like river and water quality, because
Yeah.
water goes into coffee. Good water, good coffee. So every sale we do, there's some level of altruism in mind. There's philanthropy endemic to that. So we're just trying to be as good at business people as we can, do it right, do it our way, and
how was
spread
it
the
in the
wealth.
beginning?
It was a little tough in the beginning,
Because you guys are in an interesting like spot. Like, you guys are right off the Donegal exit.
Yep.
And I feel
It
like
was weird. It was,
People drive by us for 5 years and
Yeah.
walk in for the first time and say, "How long have you guys been open?"
Well, that's
We've
what
been
I
here
was gonna
5
say.
years.
we didn't know when to open or close. We've all, I keep like oil field hours like open every day. I don't care
Oh
what.
yeah, when we started,
So at least we've been open every day. Like we've never closed.
I think
for
it's a
anything.
disservice for coffee shops to not be open early
on
or
a
every
Sunday,
day.
please. Like
I
if
know.
you go to Ligonier, that town, like everything just shuts down
I
on Sunday.
know.
And people walk around looking for something.
That's
to do.
so messed
So I
up.
never close, but like we didn't know what hours to be
Well,
open.
how did you choose the
and
location, first of all?
It was suggested to us.
yeah,
Now, in your thought process of this, like before you, like from your guys' first like spur of like wanting to start this business,
Yeah.
did you have an idea of a place you wanted to do this beforehand?
honestly, it was so organic, and like it's our first business ever, so it was trying to figure out like what worked and how
Yeah.
everything has finally come together. Like we're super comfortable with the setup we have now,
Yeah.
but we made mistakes, like how we were getting coffee, the hours. Like I feel badly in hindsight. We were having like 18-year-old girls put in 12-hour days at this coffee shop in the middle of a snowstorm, like making them come in, and like no one would come in. We would do like $70 a day, and my hair was going gray because we can't survive on $70.
Yeah.
We're open 12 hours and we're doing $70 a day.
Yeah.
And it was there were some dark times, and
I mean, like,
Buying
where else
everything
c-
through the mail, like because there's no delivery up there. No one will deliver us
paying
food.
shipping for
We're too
syrups.
We're too small, so we can't get like a Cisco or something. So we'd have
yeah.
to go get groceries.
we can't even get a
and
newspaper delivered to
We
our
couldn't even,
spot.
can't even get mail. We don't have we can't get mail like U.S. Postal Service delivered to us because we don't have a box in our plaza.
That's crazy.
So like we live through Amazon, like web restaurant.
Yeah.
So I would be getting this organic syrup from Oregon for years, just paying out the ass for it. And then during COVID, I was like, I'm gonna try to make syrup. And now I'm like liquid gold, baby. Like
Yeah.
I crank out syrup like a mofo.
See, that's
so we're
I
gonna
think
start our
it's
own
cool.
syrup company next.
I think it's cool that like you guys do that. I mean, like anyone that is like doing a business or a project who kind of like, you know, ascends into that tier of like wanting to do it yourself and be more involved in it, I feel is gonna. I mean, you're gonna ramp up quality and everything. And it's like I'm someone who likes like I'm real into like, you know, getting all these stickers made. I'm very, very into merchandising my brand and shit like that. So
Great brand.
you know, like I like to be able to, you know, get into it. That's why I wanted to start roasting coffee. It's like that's why I wanted to, like, I don't want to just like pay someone to do it and then me just put my sticker on it, because no one could attach themselves to that. I want whatever I have to like, you know, have a story. It's like I want it to be done by me, so I could like explain it and talk about it and really show that I'm like passionate about that. And it's not just like a fucking money grab. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting that like, you know, to see how businesses, you know, the COVID shit sucks, obviously. No one ever expected it, but it forced all these businesses to like, you know, it checked everyone and it kind of leveled everyone to like a level playing field. And it's like everyone had to start coming up with creative ways to make up for, you know, not being able to be open. And it's cool to see how other businesses are like, you know, finessing what they're doing. And it's like, what other option do you have besides making your own shit now?
Yeah.
It's like, it's going to take forever to get to you. You're going to pay extra money. Shipping's a beast.
Yeah, shipping our costs were crazy.
If I got to ship a mug, it's like fucking $10 to ship it. And I'm like, it ain't even worth it. You feel like a dickhead because like your mugs are like, oh, if you want it shipped to you, it'll be like $25.
Yeah.
And it's like, bro, like, come on. I mean, I know myself, the mug it's not worth 25, you know? So like, it's like a personal struggle.
I really struggled that when we were opening. Like I said, we're kind of expensive. And I remember one day I was, you know, just pulling shots. I don't work at the shop too often, but you know, the UPS guy comes in, he's crushing it. He drops all this stuff off for us. And he orders a large cold brew with flavor, and it comes out to like, you know, $6.75. And he's just like, you know, he's not enthusiastic about paying $6.75. I feel weird asking a guy who's doing me a service, hooking me up with this stuff for $6.75.
Yeah.
And as a small business person, like, just like you're saying, like, there's value in what you have, and then there's that added to connect to your customer. There's that added cost, and to internalize that as a small business owner, you're like, I stand by my product, but I still feel kind of weird, like, getting as much money as I can from you. Obviously that's what business is.
Yeah.
But like trying to drive down that cost where both parties are satisfied, it's still something I struggle with. I think it's weird sometimes.
Well, it's a difficult position because it's like, you know, these are things that you take time and you put your efforts in, your passions in. Like, you know, like one of these mugs, this one is like a fucked up one right now, but one of the mugs that like you have, it's like you have to source out where you're going to get them from. You got to get tests. You got to
sit on that inventory too and hope it sells on
you know
the
what
back
I mean?
end.
So it's like people just expect to like get everything for so, you know, little money. But if you want nice shit, it's worth paying the money for. And I feel like anyone who's like conscious of, you know, being a small business, you know, patronizer, you know, they're paying for almost like a little bit of a donation to like keep your shit going.
Yeah, that's true. And we appreciate our customers, like our core that come back, like they know they're doing us a solid, and like, you know, every 10th cup is free for them.
Now, whenever you guys opened, like was it like a lull in the beginning?
Yeah.
Until people started to notice where you were?
Yeah, but luckily it was just me working, so I didn't have to pay any like employees.
Yeah.
So
but now, how long do you think it was before people started to notice that you're there? Because I've probably driven past you.
like last week.
Yeah. Because I mean, like, I think that I like turned my neck randomly and I was like, oh, Silver Horse Coffee. And I was like, oh, let's stop there. But I probably would have never noticed that.
I mean, people would legitimately come in and say, when did you guys open?
Yeah.
I have a condo at Hidden Valley.
Yeah,
I pass out every time I hear it. I'm just like on the ground.
We paid for billboard. Like at the beginning, we were paying, like we were trying to get our name out there. doing the billboard game. We had a billboard on the turnpike, which like is very cool to like
A coffee shop with a billboard on the PA turnpike.
Now, can I ask you how much something like that is?
So it was $1,000 per month, but
a month,
but we would split it. We would split them with like another
pizza
place that's next to us because neither one of us could afford $1,000 a month.
Did you feel that was beneficial?
Oh my God, I regret so much.
I was for bragging rights. I liked having a billboard.
Yeah, like that would be dope for sure.
I'm sure it got a few people. There was an occasion because it just had our logo. It had this. My hippie brother. We have an older brother. He lives in Colorado, so we had essentially the top of this, just on a billboard. So people really weren't sure what it is.
Yeah.
But there was no way to track whether or not we got a return on that billboard. It was just like
on occasion someone would be like, "Oh, we saw your billboard on the turnpike," and we Googled it, and it said you had espresso. Because we're not like right off the turnpike. We're like a mile or so, 1.2 miles up on the right.
Yeah.
So people say if you read some of our reviews, people complain that we're more than a mile off the turnpike.
Really?
Yeah. People like complain about the most random stuff.
If we had a drive-through down by that McDonald's or something, by the Wendy's or by the Dairy Queen, I'd be a millionaire.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be a huge operation.
Absolutely.
People would get off for espresso. I mean,
that's an interesting point of view.
Our location's one of our biggest issues, but since we've survived,
realistically,
now it's not as big of a problem.
But it's such like an interesting area.
Do you know why it's kind of like that? I don't know. Well, you obviously may not. But the whole area past those gas stations, there's no sewage.
Oh,
so
really?
Everyone has to have a septic tank. So you can't have if you have a business, you can't have a dishwasher. You can't have more than one bathroom. So essentially, like that hotel that's up there, they had to build their own water treatment plant just for them. So no one can incur those costs. So that's why we're in that building, because it was the newest building for the last 20 plus years.
The developer actually got a rural development grant to basically build something
for people to have, because all those other businesses up there, septic.
That is interesting.
That limits you like crazy. So when we were building our shop, we were in rural, new construction, and on septic. If anyone's a contractor, that's like the trifecta of you're screwed. I mean, we had to have the same guy that looks at sheets come look at my coffee shop, my plumbing.
That's crazy.
Like an electrical engineer that approves sheets had to come and look at us.
Now, what was that place? What was that place before you moved in?
We got a vanilla box, so we incurred it. I did all of the construction myself with Evan's assistance.
So it was just an open room.
It's called a vanilla space for people.
Vanilla space.
If you
just white walls.
Yeah,
there weren't even walls.
No, it was 2x4s.
We had to put up all
I got a bunch of tools. This was my excuse to buy a bunch of tools at Home Depot. So I took the company card, went to Home Depot, bought all these tools that I kind of knew how to use.
Yeah.
And I built that with some help from the Amish. So everything in there, minus that front counter, the Amish guys had to do that part.
Yeah.
So I did everything but the plumbing, electrical, and that one counterpart. I did everything else.
It's a cool spot. It looks
Evan's
good.
Assistance.
It's
DIY.
It would be like 3 a.m, and we have like this metal sheeting on our ceiling. I don't know if you saw. And it's like him, me, and a ladder, and at the time his girlfriend like drilling, trying to find studs and then drill sheet metal up into a ceiling. We'd never done that. We're like, it worked and everything. Like that's why everything's authentic that we do.
There's blood on those walls.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about this coffee that you have here, and like what made you. Obviously we kind of talked about why you started to roast, but how long have you been doing this now?
Well, I'd say the last 3 years we just had a shop, and then when I got laid off, I was kind of like going through, I broke up with my girlfriend, lost my job in my apartment, so I went to Colombia for like 10 days. And so I was in Medellin, where Pablo Escobar is from. Yeah. So I went down there by myself. I didn't know any Spanish. I just went down there.
Wow.
And so I'm up in this like coffee plantation, like up in the jungle, like all partied out and stuff, just like trying to do math in this like little notebook about, because they're telling me how much this coffee costs. Like if I come down here and get it. And
Did you specifically go there for the coffee?
I went to go party.
Yeah.
I went to have a good time. So like I was like, you book Pablo Escobar tours, you book coffee plantation tours.
How was that?
What the
Was it sick? Like
Oh, it was
Pablo
I had a great
tours?
time. Like I'm telling you,
Beautiful
Medellin's like
women.
the women there. Like that's where Sofia Vergara's from.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so like everywhere you go, you got these like hot Latin girls. The food's incredible. They love
Oh, I
like fried
bet.
food and cheeseburgers and hot dogs, and they're super nice to us. And I just went down there. I shoved myself onto a Spirit plane ride. I got down there for like $260.
How long did it take to get there?
Maybe like 14 hours the whole day. Like I went to Miami and I'm down there and I didn't know anyone. I got really lucky. I walk out of the airport and I get this Uber, Juan David, and I pay him basically like like $100 a day to be my bodyguard, my translator. Just like, hey man, what do you want to do
fixer.
today? Yeah, he was my fixer.
Yeah.
So every day he picked me up at my hotel and just we'd go places. So I'm
That's
up in this
awesome.
plantation, like hiking around there. They're telling me how much this coffee is, and I'm like I can get a shipping container full of coffee for like 80 grand. It'll cost me another 20 to get it out of the country. And then up to New Jersey to Pittsburgh, it's worth $500,000.
Wow.
So my $80,000 investment turns into $500,000 if I get it to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's very similar to cocaine. You got to go down there to go and get it.
Yeah.
And you get the kilos and you gram it out through a coffee shop.
You need to
So-
pitch this to Netflix.
I mean, seriously, like if you get a shipping container full of coffee and you run that through, say you have 4 or 5 coffee shops, I mean, it's like gramming it out. And so a $7 latte from getting the beans yourself in Colombia.
Yeah.
The
Same
whole
thing.
vertical consolidation, the amount of money and the percentages you make, I'm talking like 800% profit.
That's wild.
So if you can figure out how to do it, that's where the money's at.
Now, how was the coffee down there? Like whenever you went there, like
Oh, it was really good. Yeah, it's a lot of the coffees down there, like it's Colombia, so it's like a national heritage for them. So
Yeah.
they take it pretty seriously. So there's a lot of infrastructure and basically Western money, or money from North America or
Yeah.
other countries. These big corporations, they've invested the money for their processing, their transportation. That's what it makes it better. But if you go to some of these countries that have no infrastructure, like Guatemala, El Salvador, Nicaragua, where they have less, so they're more unstable. So less people are going to be willing to dump money into them. Their product is treated less well. So my favorite coffee in the world comes from Guatemala.
Yeah,
I
me
think
too.
it's
That's
from,
what I-
from sea level to high elevation. You want those beans that are like dense and smaller.
Absolutely.
But it's Guatemala, man. You got MS-13 out there, collecting money from these local plantations. It's like, hey,
Yeah, it's
you
wild
gotta
for
be careful.
sure.
So like, Colombia is just easy. Like I didn't know any. I went down there by myself. Didn't know anyone. No one. I was in some of the most dangerous neighborhoods in the world at one point by myself.
Did you feel unsafe ever?
I was a lot bigger than them,
Yeah.
and I kind of like he called me like I was like tan and had a mustache. I was
Yeah.
like bigger. I was working in the oil field, so he said I had like a real kind of Pablo Escobar. I looked kind of Colombian, like we look like we're like Turkish
He was just
or
a
something.
gringo down there.
Yeah, but like I just like I was wearing Hawaiian shirts and cowboy boots, and it's like this guy he might be for real here. So.
Got to play the part.
Yeah, so I was just down there like balling out, having a great time, and I kind of just figured out that I can like do it. I was supposed to go to Costa Rica a couple weeks ago, but COVID canceled it.
Yeah.
My brother really didn't want me to go. And
Yeah.
so we're working on having more shops so I can go to these countries and buy these shipping containers, and that's part of the adventure is me going up into the jungle and getting this stuff. Because between working in the oil field and working on like whitewater rivers, like you can't kill me. Like I could, like it's pretty hard.
it's interesting.
I can work in any environment. It's no problem for me. So if I go get this coffee and get it to Pittsburgh, there's a real potential to make money for myself.
Yeah.
and
Plus,
my
that's
little company.
that's an awesome adventure.
Yeah, this is my life now. I just go places and get the coffee. So
That's,
and now
that's
you throw
awesome.
in the kayaking, and so I have a buddy here. He's kind of like he has a show. He fixes old houses on HGTV.
He owned Decade.
Yeah, Steve Ford. Yeah,
Yeah,
remember?
Steve.
So we just bought a building next to his current house, and we're going to open up another shop, hopefully by the spring. He's working on a tiny home right now, and then hopefully we're going to have another shop. And then once I have 2 shops where I can kind of crank my own coffee out, that justifies going down to these origin
Yeah,
countries.
you got a
and
need to go down there.
And
And
I
get
have a
the shit.
need to go. And some like potential investors are like, he sells this much by himself.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
all-
a
that's
little
fucking
coffee
awesome.
shop in Donegal has sustained me since last year, just roasting for myself.
You guys should write a script.
So
that
yeah, I
sounds
mean,
pretty cool.
and there's a lot more to the story in between. There's all kinds of funny,
But that's
tangents.
that's such like a wild, that's a wild chapter in life. I mean, obviously, you probably didn't think that you would be this deep into coffee, 10 years ago, huh?
No. I mean, I was always told I was going to be a rich gold miner, and then
Yeah.
when that didn't work out, you gotta go find something else.
Yeah, you gotta
I like my
finesse something
commodities,
else.
though. I've worked in oil, gold, and coffee's my favorite.
Well, that's that's good. That's definitely good. Now, do you guys, I'm sure, everyday coffee drinkers. Now, are we going to fire a pot up of this?
Yeah. So what I brought you, now that you said that you like Zeke's coffee, right?
Yeah, I like.
Yeah,
Zeke's.
you like dark coffee.
Yeah, I like.
Okay,
Zeke's.
so there's a little thing with dark coffee. I sound, I might be on my soapbox a little bit, but
I wanna hear it.
when you roast coffee dark, it can be less quality coffee to start with.
I know
and
that.
it's that roast flavor you're looking for. That's why people of a certain generation, age-wise,
Yeah.
like dark coffee. It's got that roast flavor,
Yeah, it's almost like a burnt flavor.
and that's how.
That's why I favor Starbucks coffee.
Well, because they can take coffee from anywhere in the world and mix it together, and as long as you roast it to a certain temperature, it all tastes the same.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like cheating.
but,
kinda.
But there's different. but for someone who's interested in it, there's different reasons that I like that. I hate a fruity flavored coffee.
me too.
Okay, so you don't like African coffees with that
I
stone
don't.
fruit,
I
plum,
don't
blueberry.
like. I don't like.
Yeah.
I'm just not a. I'm not a fan of any of the fruity notes. I like more of a chocolatey.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, so that's what when I roast, my favorite coffees come from Colombia and Guatemala.
Yeah.
So the Latin American coffees tend to have this. Minus like Brazil. Brazil is kind of in its own little world, but the Latin American into the parts of Colombia, they all have like that hazelnut,
Earthy.
buttery. No, not earthy is something you find. Okay, so they have a lot of water there.
Yeah.
So when you go to Africa, they, the processing when you see on a bag like washed,
Yeah.
semi-washed.
Yeah, wash.
When you go to Africa, they don't have a lot of spare water.
Yeah.
So they throw that shit out on grates and just beat it with sticks.
Yeah, it's just like natural. What do they
just
call it?
There's natural, but
Yeah.
like there's pulp, there's all these different things. Back to the infrastructure about who's investing in them. If you have better equipment, more investment, you can process the coffee in different ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in Colombia, they got tons of money there. So it's always, this coffee, it's always washed. So it has a lot of water. So it brings out these like buttery, milk chocolatey, hazelnut kind of flavors.
That's all me.
That's kind of what people like. Yeah, so I like Colombian and Guatemalan because it adds a little bit more of a floral. The Guatemalan adds like a little mountainy kind of tropical
Yeah.
floral flavor to that butter.
Yeah.
So that's what I like. You go to Africa, you get these stone fruits, you get fig, plum.
Yeah.
I don't like that. There's a couple like Yirgachefs I might like. There's a couple. Coffee came from Ethiopia, so
Yeah.
you get your land race genetics. You're going to find something dope. Like I
Absolutely.
said, it's a human hand that ruins it. So if you get someone that's really taking care of their coffee, it's all hand picked, perfect ripeness, you're gonna have a good cup.
Yeah.
You may not like that like blueberry flavor, but it's still
But
gonna
you
be
could-
good.
yeah, you could
can
tell that it's a
appreciate it.
quality
it's-
cup, yeah.
But it's, in general, they don't have enough water, the infrastructure to just produce like good. I just don't like it. It's just not my thing. And then that's kind of similarly with like the Indo-Pacific. Like I've actually brought you a Sumatran coffee because as I
I
get
love a Sumatra. That's my second favorite.
because it's one of those coffees you can roast dark and it still tastes good.
Yeah,
You
it still
know,
keeps and it's still. You could have the different flavors of it. Some coffees like you're roasting it, and it's like it all blends together and
it's
just like
that
a burnt.
roast. Yep.
Yeah.
And that's what you can do with Colombian coffees. You just roast it. You can have the best coffee from Colombia, and you can have the worst coffee from Colombia.
Yeah.
If you roast them the same to that roast temperature, 430, it's just all going to taste the same. Doesn't matter. The quality's out the door.
Yeah.
Sumatran, you can roast dark and still keep some of those like unique
unique
qualities.
flavors.
So I brought a Colombian, and then I brought like our house. It's a Guatemalan and Colombian. It's like a medium.
Yeah.
So that's just what we use for espresso. I've figured out that I can use like a house for our espresso blend and for our drip coffee. So
Yeah.
it works through the espresso machine. It's light enough and sweet enough, but it's also dark enough to give it like a good thick like crema for
Yeah.
making latte art, and it has like that espresso taste.
Do you do
Just-
latte art?
I mean, I've pulled thousands and thousands of shots. Like if I made you a latte, like you'd be like, okay, he knows what he's doing.
That's
like,
cool.
You can,
But it's
just
but you haven't gone crazy deep.
no,
in it.
I
Yeah.
can't draw anything past stick figures anyway.
Okay.
Like I can do enough that's like he knows what he's doing. You
Yeah.
can watch me and say, okay, I'm
you
good.
know what you're doing.
Yeah, I know what I'm doing. But some of my girls, man, they throw out some crazy shit. Like
I know it's wild to see. They had this thing around here called it was in WVU called the Latte Art Throwdown,
this, yeah,
and I saw some of the shit that they put out. And
Commonplace put it on.
Commonplace.
Yeah, they're going to be like some of the competition for us, like Kelvin, Commonplace. Those are going to be like our comp in the.
I think
area.
that I don't know. I'm transparent about the podcast. People might find it negative, but I'm not a fan of Commonplace coffee. I think it's a little bit too acidic for me. I think that they're on more of the medium end.
They do single origins and stuff, and with your flavor, what you have described that you like, I can see why.
So that's
why I asked if you like Zeke's, because
Zeke,
that's why you like Zeke's.
Zeke has such a like he had my favorite blend of coffee. Zeke's had my favorite blend of coffee that I've ever had. It was called Shadow Blend, and it literally tasted like you were drinking next to a fireplace. Like it's like almost had smoke in it. But
it's got some smoke in it.
I really like that. But there's like these like huge coffee companies around here that are like known for being like the best in the city, and it's just like I really don't favor their coffee. But that's just my taste, and that's why like I kind of roast the way that I do. Like the last two roasts that I did, I did a blend, and I'll definitely do a dark roast just because I like it. But I usually try to do like a blend of like a medium roast because a lot of people like a lighter cup. Mm-hmm. But and it's wild because everyone's palate's so different. I've had nothing but good reviews about it, but people have definitely told me you could tell it's dark.
Yeah, it's just these demographics. Like, if you're in your early 20s, you want the fruity African natural coffees because it tastes like Fruity Pebbles.
Yeah.
If you're like 35, 40 and above, you want
that jet fuel.
Yeah, you want that roast. And you
Yeah.
think it's actually like lighter coffee has more caffeine because the longer you roast it, the more you burn it off. But you're gonna have lighter coffees more acidic. It's more bright. It's more.
It's like a tea.
It's more. Yeah, I'm getting it. It's like more like a tea and that's how the people go crazy with tea as well. It's all these unique areas where the special
wild.
tea comes from, and light roast coffee is just more about the flavor of where it came from. Darker roasted coffee is more about getting that roast flavor, which you're looking for consistently every time.
Yeah.
So it's just like with wine, like you want your blend that you always get the Boda box, or you want something, unique from this one. It's just so different.
Yeah. What do you favor?
So I do like a more medium roast. I like you probably approach the darker end, but I think it's kind of squarely like running our shop. A 50-year-old guy will come in. We'll say, "Hey, do you want a light roast or a dark roast?" And there's like this machoism, where like, "Oh, I need a dark roast. I'm like a man." Like, And I just think that's weird. Like they think they're getting more caffeine, and it's like,
they think it's more effective.
The nomenclature it needs different.
More hearty is such a great way to say it.
But I'm just like
full body. That doesn't.
No one cares what you're drinking. You can
rich,
have
robust. They
like, what do you notice? What is more common for people to order up there?
People don't know.
Yeah, I know, and that's. And
I can
that's
give
what's
them something.
interesting.
They'll be like, but we roast. So like, I never worked at a coffee shop before I had my own.
Yeah.
So we opened. My friend grew up in coffee shops. He flew out from Denver, taught me how to use my espresso machine that I just paid $16,000 for.
I know, they're
We
crazy.
opened on Saturday, and I've been doing it ever
our
since.
busiest day for 4
impromptu.
years.
Just like, I don't know how to do this.
Gotta
Now
get
I
thrown into
suddenly
the
know.
wolves.
Just do it. And then, so I kind of come from it, like no one taught me their bad habits from another coffee shop.
Absolutely.
So we're both like field engineers. So we find these very unique ways of solving things. Like I'm going to figure it out.
Analytical.
So when I started roasting, people come in and they ask for these drinks. They don't know what they are. These people have never actually had a flat white.
Yeah.
A flat white doesn't really exist. People don't know the difference between a cappuccino and a latte. They really don't.
Microfoam.
Yeah.
No, but like, I know what they're looking for.
Yeah.
So that's how we've been successful. Is I've been giving them what they expect and what they want, even though if they don't know if that's what it actually is by definition. So when I roast my coffee, I do it the same way. What are people looking for? And it's generally like a medium to dark roast.
Did you ever have a problem with like, you starting to roast and like, like a lot of people that have their own businesses, if they're good at it, they could disconnect from what they love themselves.
Exactly. That's what I'm getting at. It's like I only drink light, single origins, the dankest of like the people in New York City are like getting all crazy about.
Yeah.
But the guy that comes to my shop, medium dark every time. Here's make sure it's hot. Make sure like
Start making some coffee.
Oh, you want some coffee?
Yeah.
Well, like it's like as long as I have a high quality product, I'm comfortable giving it to them because I know what they want. They don't necessarily know what they want.
Yeah.
Coffee is like it's just like being a bartender. Being a barista.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
They'll come in like, what do you drink? Just I'll make you something good. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, you usually just like what do you like, and it's like get an idea of what someone says, and then kind of give you the creative freedom.
I don't drink dark coffee, but I love roasting it because it's easier to roast.
Yeah, it was such like an interesting process to be able to roast from a bean that they got and do everything through and kind of like learn about the different stages and hear them different sounds and smell them different things.
I love the cracks.
Yeah, it's such a cool like process. It's easy to smell. I'm gonna smell this. Yeah.
What sort of volume do you roast?
That's the Sumatran.
Yeah, you could tell that it's going to be good. That smells really good. I'll do like 20 pounds at a time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'll do like 20 pounds at a time, and then I'll put it out, and people usually grab it immediately. It's like I'm super. I have attention to detail. Like I have a really great photographer friend who takes these like incredible pictures and does like all these crazy things with photography. And I'm good at marketing it, and people listen to me on this podcast, and it's so weird because it's like the first year I did this, I had nothing. I had no 20, 30 listens. Half of them were my friends and my mom and my dad. But now it's like the shit is blowing up. I'm sponsored by Turner's now.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about Turner's.
We're big Turner's people.
I see that you got your crate right there. You carry Turner's products. If you look on your website and I click on I don't know what the tab is. Relationships, partners.
Steve Turner himself came to get the contract.
Yeah, Steve Turner, such a great guy. That's who I work with.
He was huge when he came. Apparently, he's lost a lot of weight.
Oh, he's small now.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Crazy.
He's small now for sure.
All that milk.
But Steve is. Like I talked to them. I grew up on Turner, so I was like, doing this podcast and kind of like, kind of making my, like, kind of getting my foundation going. I started to talk to people that were kind of, building a resume basically. So I ended up reaching out to Turner's, and he was like, yeah, we'll absolutely do it. So he came over and we talked, and it was such like an interest. I've just become fascinated with everything. Like I really only reach out to people that I'm interested in because, as you can see, like I don't have any questions like written.
Yeah,
it's just like if I know of that I'm having a guest, I'll usually go through their social media and I think about them for a couple days, and I think about what I'm interested in learning about what they do, and that's why like I only bring on people that I'm interested in because it wouldn't be a good conversation otherwise. But it was so cool to be able to learn about how the Turner's Premium Iced Tea was made, how the milk is done, all the different flavors, and like how that all runs. And he was like, let's work together, and they
Turner's
sponsored the podcast. Yeah, they really do. I mean, they have good stuff.
They really, and I don't know if you've been involved with this, but it seems like the last maybe 2 years they've like turned up their social media
their
footprint, their
website came out of
branding.
nowhere.
Steve really has been doing amazing
It's
shit.
incredible.
And
Their color palette's cool.
they're working with Top Hat Design in
That's
Millville.
who I thought. Top Hat.
Top Hat, yeah. Like
we want to
if-
work with them someday. but-
they're fantastic, and they've been doing like all the new logos, all their merchandise. For a while it was like lore. A Turner's T-shirt was like something that like you can't just get. You can't buy it. It's like if you go to a fair and you like just random chance get a T-shirt, but he gave me a T-shirt to give away, and I did a giveaway with it, and it was insane, like fucking 600 comments.
Wow.
Just for his T-shirt, and I was like, Jesus. But
It's a popular name for softball teams.
Oh, I know, it's crazy.
In the
but
Pittsburgh
now
area.
they have like this like fashionable like merchandise. They're putting out like these hats, nice.
With the the slice in the
cut in a carton.
Cut in a carton. Like,
Yeah,
that
and,
just came about organically, and like,
well, it's like that dude from Barstool Sports was there, and it's just like you're like, holy shit! Like, I can't believe I was riding my bike on the Panhandle Trail, and I was getting blown up on social media. Like, I was getting, I got like 6 messages, and they were like, holy shit, Dave Portnoy has a fucking Turner's tea there. Yeah. And I was like, no way. But, it's an honor for me to be able to say that, like, I get to work with them, because that's shit that I grew up on. Yeah. And it's like, they're a big, reputable company who believes in what I do. And I'm just talking to people, you know what I mean? So it's cool to be able to get that, like, sort of feedback. And it's cool to be able to kind of expand my radius of people that I normally talk to. That's because awesome. You guys are probably the furthest out. You know, I interviewed my buddy who lives in Colorado. We've done some interviews, California and shit like that, but it's all like my friends and people we would know. But, you know, it's cool to be able to talk to you guys that are a little bit further out. So explain what you're doing with all this.
I'm going to dump this part out.
Go ahead.
It's just water.
Well, but just shout out to you, like, you know, doing this and growing it. We're super appreciative of being here, and like your network, how you described it, is awesome. Where you're connecting with people that you have a sincere relationship. You either believe in their product or like have watched it grow to an extent that it's of value to speak to it. So, like, shout out to you for bringing us, and then just straight up for Turner's, like, you know, they give us high quality milk. Their farm, their co-op that they have, milk on milk. Drop it off every Tuesday.
It smells unreal.
They've been there for us. So Turner's, like, we wouldn't exist without milk from Turner's.
It's weird because I didn't know at first. Like, the first time I came there for my wedding, that was like 3 years ago. But I wasn't doing the podcast then. Mm-hmm. But I didn't recognize that you guys were doing Turner's. But now I obviously look like who's doing Turner's. But I knew I wanted to talk to you, and I looked on that Partners, and I saw like the logo and stuff like that, and I was like, you know, you're killing 2 birds right there. You know what I mean?
Right,
you're carrying the best.
Yeah, it's like,
now up there is Turner's. Like, can you get the premium tea up there?
Oh, yeah, we can get anything we want.
I mean, like whenever you were growing up, was it?
So we're not huge iced tea drinkers, but like everyone, like, kids around you have those jugs.
Yeah,
on the
thug
finger.
drugs.
Yeah. Like, I've been hit in the face with many of those.
But it's up there.
Oh, yeah. Turner's? Yeah, definitely. And especially when I went to Fox Chapel, it was like a cult.
Yeah.
Like, they have baseball teams like the Turner's, boy.
Everyone's a cult up there.
Like, it's
but it's cool. Like, now with you guys adapting to, you know, the shit with COVID, it's such a weird thing for me to be able to talk to all these people, and, like, you know, we hear about, like, their business and how it was started and how it normally is ran, but it's like COVID happened, so it's such like an interesting dynamic to bring into the conversation. But you were saying that, like, it's been doing better for you, and it's interesting to hear, because it's like, people are going in the woods because you want to, like, social distance and shit, and going up there, you're kind of like on the way to the woods. Now, so like it's been you know, it's been pretty well for you? Like, it's been going pretty well?
Yeah, I mean, you know, like everyone, there were so many unknowns at the beginning, and, you know, the hard shutdowns were something we all had to navigate.
Were you guys shut down at all?
No, we never. I worked 40 days in a row.
Because you guys had takeout, right? Is that
I just chilled on the couch and watched Netflix until people would come in.
Yeah.
Like, I was great.
We're just super lucky because, like, the coffee model was one that worked within the COVID landscape, where we are takeout, we don't have a large footprint. And going back to the billboards, like, what grinds my gears against the billboard is they were very expensive. We're a coffee shop. You think about our average ticket is like $7.
Yeah.
So to justify the price of that billboard, we have to sell hundreds of cups of coffee.
700 cups of coffee.
Yeah.
Or 70. 700.
To make that work. So, like, why we have these candles, why we have honey, why we have syrup, it's to raise our average ticket price, because no matter what you do, you're going to have 5 minutes with that barista. If they buy $3 worth of stuff or $50 worth of stuff, I need to get as much revenue in that 5 minutes that I can.
Yeah.
So now with COVID, like, we didn't have a big footprint to begin with. So, like, everything we've had to downside is basically just we have room for 6 to 8 people.
12
people. So we just pulled out our
6, half of it. Yeah. We're cutting half, so 6.
We pulled out our tables, and, like, people
With
didn't
staff.
mind. They just walk in, they get their coffee, they walk out, they drink in their car, but...
Yeah, but sometimes we'll have lines, like, out the door into the parking lot.
Now, have you guys noticed any sort of, like, you know, some people have said, you know, in the restaurant industry that I've talked to, they said that they've noticed more of like an aspect of community where it's like people are conscious of like supporting the local end of things and like trying to, you know, they realize that this is a tough time for, you know, restaurants and food establishments and everything. Did you notice any sort of that?
I think so. I think people get it. You know, up where we live, there's big sort of still like anti-mask movement, and some of the people that, like I was saying, were fleeing the city, were looking for an outlet. So like we'll get either DMs or like a 1-star review where someone will torch us because either someone doesn't have a mask on, like a customer coming in, and like that's obviously like it's our business. We want them to wear masks, but like, you know, me telling a customer to put on a mask,
Yeah, you can't put a fucking gun to their head.
It's difficult.
I get what you're saying.
But so like there's been that navigating, but like still some people will like complain that the line is too long and torch us with 1 star. And it's like,
too busy. Come back next time, 1 star.
Yeah,
it's unreal to me.
It's just like, all right, well,
or no, my favorite. Like we don't get very many bad ones. We check us out online. Like if you go for like the lowest stars, they're all, like read them all. They're kind of funny. Yeah. But the most recent one, I'm a big fan of Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
And I bump rap music. And the last like actual bad review was about some parent with their kid, like terribly inappropriate music. And I was just like, dude, it was like Post Malone radio. What do you want from me?
Yeah, I mean, like, yo, let me run over and skip that.
So we'll get a review, like, but very rarely do we get something for like a quality or like, I have like
stuff we do.
So our staff, like I am super, super lucky. I get these really, really nice employees that either come from Seven Springs or Ohio Pile.
Yeah.
So generally they're like, you know, like outdoorsy people that either ski or kayak, and they're all my friends. It's a big clique out there.
Yeah.
If you work in either one of those scenes, and I've been very, very fortunate to get like rock star staff, and they kill it. And
That's great.
They're behind our product. They'd like, because it's like one of the better jobs up there for people to have.
Yeah.
And since I'm so well known in that area, and people know us out there, so it's like if you get a good recommendation from us, you're golden out there. So like Out of the Fire, Seven Springs, any of the places in Ohio Pile.
What is Out of the Fire?
It's one of like the only reputable restaurants out there.
Oh, okay.
So if you're
in Donegal,
it's in Donegal. So it's to entertain the wealthier clientele, just like my coffee shop is.
Yeah.
So if you get to like that kind of like group of local businesses, everyone kind of mixes amongst.
If you have a good winter up there, is it booming like with tourists?
Yeah, and everyone,
Ski
the same
weekends.
places make the money.
Yeah.
Like you figured it out.
but it's so weather dependent. Like I kid you not, when the leaves fall off and it's wet and cold and muddy, like our business just drops, and I can guarantee this April is going to be our slowest month of 21. Like we just know these things.
Bad weather, off season, non-holiday.
Yeah.
Like there's like weird, but it's super predictable. If it's like a muddy Wednesday,
You know what
off
it's gonna
season,
be like.
Oh, I could stay at home.
Now,
you know?
do you tend to notice that people that go to different places up there, they stick to where they go? Like,
We're like the tour guides. We tell everyone asks us the same. It's Falling
Okay.
Water, it's Ohio Pile, it's Seven Springs, weddings. I mean, that's why people are there.
I
It's a
went to the same
recreational
places
area.
every time we would go
Yeah.
up there. It's like I went to the Indian store that closed down across from Sarnelli's.
Yeah.
I was so sad.
Guy.
I was so sad.
It's
when
where
that closed.
our parents got 50. So the people that own that, we got all their taxidermy when
Yeah.
they closed. So my parents have all their crazy old
Really?
taxidermy. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. So we had.
What were their names?
I couldn't
Dude, I
tell you.
thought about trying to get him on here and like talk to him because that place was like the closest place to my heart up there besides for the general store.
It was a legit business. You know?
We just used to buy like fucking slingshots.
Yeah, that's where you get illegal
arrowheads.
slingshots. Yeah, like weird stuff. Yeah,
you know, like
yeah,
that's
yeah.
where I bought my rocks, my arrowheads,
Yeah,
and like
that's awesome.
the beginnings of the crystals and shit. But
We push a lot of crystals now.
We sell tons of rock specimens now. We have a local witchcraft lady that provides us with.
Oh, wow.
crystals and coffee.
I was like, she came in like, oh, can I sell these things? I'm like, whatever. And then it has gone from here to here to here to here to here, and we're like pushing rocks now.
Wow.
We're gonna go to the Tucson Gem and Mineral Show next year and get around.
do you now on a personal level? Are you someone that believes in like the healing powers?
I'm a scientist first and foremost.
Now listen to this. So I had a buddy on here who his name is Yoga Ralph. He was like this 350-pound dude. You know, grew up in McKeesport, hood dude, like bumping hood ass music, and now he's like this yoga practitioner. Dude, he's like 150 pounds, just like ripped out of his mind, and like he just is he got me into yoga like heavy. Like I like he it's so wild to see his life. But I've talked to him on here numerous times, and I was just over his house the other day, and me and him always talk mad shit on crystals. Like he has a salt lamp in there, but he's like, I ain't never getting nothing else. So I see on his windowsill, all these crystals, and he was like, I was like, what's up with those, bro? And he was like, no, he was like, I'm telling you, he was like, I used to talk shit on him. He was like, I really feel some wild shit, dude. He had me going to this.
Girls like them.
He had me going to this yoga place. That there was this gong yoga where you go there and you do this yoga, and this dude's playing these. I'm telling you, a wall full of gongs, and this dude has one of them bowls,
Yeah.
and you just lay there for an hour, and you have these like gongs going in you, and it's supposed to, clean out your clogged chakras. And, dude, it's wild chakras. Wild shit. But okay, so what's up?
The
with
chakras are big with the crystals.
Brew some coffee.
Okay, so so this is what I carried. I had I was about a 40-pound suitcase, so I had to make everything super minimalist.
Yeah.
So there's many different ways to make coffee.
Yeah.
Most of them are what you have to deal with in terms of like the water and temperature and how you can create heat, whether you have like an electric kettle or a gas stove or whatnot. So this is a Kalita wave. The Japanese, Germans, and Italians generally make all the best coffee stuff.
Okay.
And different reasons and why, but the Japanese are the most particular. Very similar to sushi. So if you were to Google like Japanese pour overs on YouTube, you'll see these guys like doing like magical pour overs, like they've been doing it for 50 years.
Yeah, you could go deep and watch videos.
They go deep in Japan. So Kalita is kind of like the industry standard. So
is this your favored?
Personal, yeah. So it's the cheapest, and it's produces the. You ever go to a coffee shop pour over?
Yeah,
it's $5.
Yeah,
it's for a drip coffee, but it's $5.
Yeah,
and it's because of this, and it's because I spend the time. It's like a massage, $1 a minute.
Yeah,
it takes 5 minutes of my undivided attention to make this, and just that alone makes it that much better of a cup of coffee. We charge $3 for drip. We charge $5 to $6 for a pour over. Okay. There are some coffee shops that only do pour overs.
Yeah.
And you will wait for your pour over.
Yeah.
And you're just like, okay. So this is a flat bottom filter. There's V60s, which are the cone ones with the spirals in it. This is a flat bottom. It's got some holes in here, triangular shaped holes. But you can't break this. I mean, it's stainless steel, so that's why I could take it everywhere. I had like a mug, but this is extra. Like this is, you can use anything for this. Yeah. But you need this. It's the price on Amazon has gone from $24 to $35 because everyone's at home making coffee.
Wow.
So there's a 155 and a 185. I think I don't know if it's millimeters or cubic centimeters. It might be cubic centimeter. That wouldn't make sense. But just like the volume. So this is a 185. And then you want the white filters. I know you can go onto Reddit and there's arguments.
Yeah, with the brown filters.
So the reason why they're white, it's to remove the flavor of the paper.
Yeah, you can definitely tell that you can get a flavor if you're using the natural.
Yeah, and it's just like, what do you want, man? Like, if it's good enough for the Japanese dudes that've been doing it for 50 years, this is what you want. Like it takes like a month to get these filters. Like actual Kalita stuff, I got like a sort. I get it. It's like I'm gonna be a wholesaler actually if you need stuff.
No big deal.
This is the brand. So Kalita.
Okay.
So, and this is a conical burr grinder. You can have the nicest espresso machine, but if your grinder's shitty, it doesn't matter. The most important thing is your grinder.
Yeah.
You want a conical burr. The ones that you buy from like Walmart, those just shred of the blade ones. It's just like cooking onions in a skillet. If they're all the same size, they're going to cook evenly. And that's what you want your coffee grinds.
Wow, that's a good way to think about that.
Yeah, so you want it the nicer knife, the nicer grinder.
Yeah, get what you pay for.
Yeah, so this is like $90 just for this thing.
No big deal.
But to get a cheap conical burr electric one, it'd be like the minimum would be like $400 or $500.
Yeah, I have like a $8 shredder. Automatic one.
Yeah, that's the shredder. Like I'm telling you, just go treat yourself to something like this. Just the difference in the grind will greatly improve your coffee.
Yeah.
So the recipe for a standard pour over would be like 28 grams of coffee, 340 grams of water, and 2.5 to 3 minute brew time. So what you do is, I use like Bonavita for kettles. Like this is called a gooseneck. The reason why it looks like this, and the reason why you just can't use a stupid kettle on your thing, like this throws water. It doesn't pour it.
Yeah.
So what you want to do is you got your 28 grams of coffee in here. You want to pre-wet the filter.
Yeah.
Kind of just gets the detritus off of it, and kind of rinses it out.
Say the word again.
Detritus?
Yeah, what is that?
That's just random particulate matter.
Detritus. Never heard that.
Yeah.
Love that.
Like the bottom.
Is
like,
that only
lobster
used?
eats.
Is that
Yeah,
only
the
in the word of
detritus.
coffee? That's only in the world
like
of coffee?
No, it's
Okay.
like a scientific term, like just like the chaff.
I gotta-
from the paper.
yeah, chaff.
You don't want that.
I know that.
Like it's just paper. You got to like rinse it out. It's like pre-rinsing.
I'm gonna put that
So
in
you so if I had a scale, if I was doing this like the the actual thing, you put about 40 grams of water in, and this is the bloom, and it's just to kind of let it. It's kind of like that first part where you're sautéing like garlic or butter.
Yeah.
Before you throw anything in, it's getting like that flavor. Then you throw your other ingredients in.
Yeah.
This is the bloom. So it's like for the first 30 seconds, you throw on 40 grams of water and you let it bloom, and that's you kind of like activating it. And so this is your brew bed. So this is what you have to make your coffee. You can only go up, you can't go down. So as long as you go up, you're using all the coffee. But if once it starts going down,
What do you mean going up?
you see how like when I add water, like the top of the coffee bed is going
Oh
up.
yeah, it's moving up.
So there's coffee. Like if I stop adding water, it'll go down, and a bunch of the coffee will get stuck to the sides, and it's out of the equation.
Okay.
So if you want to use all the coffee that you have put in there, you can only go up. You can't go
You're
down.
optimizing the extraction, right?
Yeah. It's,
Wow.
So right now, like the reason why I pour over instead of $3 for drip coffee versus $5 or $6 for a pour over is like making coffee is like a symphony of controlling temperature, time, and volume.
Yeah.
So how fast and with how much I do this is going to determine how well the cup of coffee comes out. So like I said, you have like your recipe that you try to find, or that you try to stay with. Like that's your scientific aspect. But it takes me kind of looking at it to add water at a rate that's going to like keep it from going down. Because once you go down, it's all over.
That's pretty interesting to know. I've never made pour over. I've used an AeroPress before.
That's great for camping. But
Yeah.
it's plastic and it's easy to clean up. Much better. French presses are the worst.
Yeah.
People need to get rid of French presses.
You don't like French press?
I'm telling you, like, well, first off, you're not anytime you brew coffee with a coarse grind, it's not like it's more like a tea.
Yeah.
Like, and that's why you let it sit in there for 4 minutes, and then it's a pain in the ass to clean.
It is a pain.
So AeroPress has almost the same type of brew technique, but the easiest cleanup.
Yeah, it is.
You know,
It definitely is.
If they made like a copper AeroPress, like I would buy it.
Yeah.
Or like a stainless steel one.
Why don't you do it?
I don't think they make one.
Why don't you do it?
Oh, why don't I do it?
Yeah.
We got to stage the business plays. Got to get the.
So my brother, like, I can do a lot of things to make money. It's just how fast my brother can provide me with funding.
Yeah. That makes sense. So now this is an art form.
Yeah. So how well you can people come into my this guy this white he works for UPS, and his wife I don't know what she does, real estate, but they come in like every Sunday and get all of our most expensive drinks. They each get 2 of whatever, like there's a couple drinks that we invented and they get both of them, so people in line hate them because they'll be there for like 20 minutes talking to me about getting these drinks. He's been coming in since I've opened, and he makes me make him a pour over, and he watches me. Like I have to do it in front of him. And it's gotten to the point where he brings his own jug now to get water from our coffee shop to make it at his house, because he thinks there's something in our water now that has like, he cannot recreate how I make coffee.
Yeah.
And I do this every day for myself for the past 8 or 9 years. Like I've done thousands and thousands of them.
Yeah.
And it's just, I'm just good at it.
And
Yeah.
if I could add just what one of our selling points for our shop is, you can take these beans and brew them here in Pittsburgh or brew them in Donegal. And we truly do have the advantage of being in the woods and having that water that hasn't gone through Pittsburgh
absolutely.
City Works pipes. It's coming right from the creek to our crazy water filtration system right into the cup. So the mineralogy, the background mineralogy of our water complements our coffee, and that you cannot replicate
Just
that
like a
here
beer.
in the Berg, just
Yeah,
because
yeah,
of the water
absolutely.
issue.
Golden Colorado.
That makes I know. I loved Golden Colorado. Colorado was amazing. They had great coffee out there too. Now, for this is what.
This is a Sumatran, because you like the dark route.
Yeah.
These bags are for you, so.
Oh, I appreciate it.
How about the swag?
All right.
I'm just gonna have a little.
It smells good. It smells really good.
See the S, the one that's open has that S. And
Now,
here's the medium, like our house blend that you can choose to drink or not drink.
no, I'll still drink it.
So we don't have bags yet. They're coming from China.
Yeah.
So Hawaii or Hawaii. Yeah. Well, who knows? So this is just a sticker that we put on our bag. I'm kind of embarrassed that we don't have bags for you, but like,
That's all
yeah,
right.
this is our logo.
You
We
should be
got the
embarrassed.
wave. Almost looks like a bridge. Pittsburgh.
You should be super embarrassed. I don't want
Our
them
website
bags.
is kind of dropping. We'll send you a link for that
Now,
soon.
now, how does now talk me through this like Standing Wave brand.
My friend Steve, I met him at the river when I was like 12. He was like a river guide when he went to WVU, and they would
Yeah.
like throw rocks at me, and I was like a janitor at this rafting outfitter.
Yeah.
So I've known him forever, and he's big on. He did like surf Pittsburgh, and we wake surf down the river. Like believe it or not, you get in the water, it's gross, but he loves it. And then I go kayaking maybe 5 times a week and work as a raft guide still every summer.
That's awesome.
So I've been like working as a raft guide for like 17 summers. So like, and he is also there, and it's a huge family, this huge clique. And like, if you're we work for the oldest outfitter on the East Coast and the 3rd oldest in the world. It's a very prestigious rafting company. So if you work for them, literally, I have friends everywhere in the world at these rafting places that I could just show up at. And kayaking is like a big part of like my culture out there. Like all my friends are all like pro kayakers. Like they just go do this shit every day. Like they're out in the woods.
Did you notice a bigger turnout of people kayaking after COVID?
Oh yeah, you
Yeah,
can't buy like they're selling out.
People
People are out in the
taking dumps in the woods.
I mean,
It's
people. Ohio.
terrible.
I live in Ohio. I have an apartment in Mount Washington, and I live in guide housing in Ohio Pile. So I live in this big old white mansion on the
Yeah.
3rd floor. I'm the president of the company because I'm the oldest staff member.
That's what's up.
So I get like this private little room, like on this mansion, and 14 raft guides live in it. And the town would get so blown out. I mean, it would be insane. I mean, I've been there for 17 summers. I've never seen a summer like that.
That's
I mean,
good.
it was insane. And
It's real
so
good.
people are getting out there. It's becoming a really popular sport. It's a hard sport to get into because the learning curve's so steep because the whole drowning thing.
Yeah.
It's, like, so people are kind of scared,
Safety first.
Not
Yeah.
something to laugh about. But
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
kinda
like
funny.
that's the thing because you go upside down and people automatically think you're just gonna get destroyed, and it does happen. But like,
Yeah.
we try. But it's such a fun way to see nature.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
from the river.
I did
Like,
Boy Scouts and we did whitewater
yeah,
rafting up
exactly.
there.
People come from all over the place to Ohio. It's really one of the best places in the whole
It's
country
invigorating.
to come. It's the most popular river on the East Coast. Like, I mean, it's a whitewater classic.
Yeah.
And I was very fortunate to grow up in that place. It's like Neverland. You can be 35 and be a raft guide and have the best summer of your life.
Yeah, like that. Just
So-
it sounds like a
So
cool
this,
thing.
the standing wave, it's like,
The hydrological feature.
yeah.
How long did it take you to come up with that name?
I was sitting on a lawn chair in Maui. So way before COVID, I spent a month in Hawaii because it was whale season with one of my best friends from college, and we bummed it in this van for a month.
To look at whales.
Yeah, so we were out. I'm a really good swimmer,
Yeah.
so I do swim. So we're like out in the ocean swimming, and a whale almost ran into us. So I got to see a whale. I was within 10 feet of a whale underwater, like with a baby
That's
whale.
crazy.
They come down there to calve.
Yeah.
So I saw them all the time in Alaska, but like from a boat. To be underwater and hear like 50 whales singing at once, it's insane.
I bet
so I
it
was
is.
down there for a whole month just snorkeling, and I was like day drinking on a lawn chair, and I'm watching all these people surf and do all this stuff, and it's just like I texted my buddy Steve. I was like, "Hey, what do you think of this word, like standing wave?" And because a standing wave is something you surf like in kayaking, and it's like it's in the middle of the river, it just stops. You can just sit there and not even paddle, and just.
It's a hydraulic feature, so there's a continuous wave that you can like essentially surf in forever. It's depending on water levels, but the standing wave to connect that back to the authentic of who we are, coming from this river community, identifying with that river, and then building out that brand as this continuous the cycle of the hydrological feature and making that connection around the brand and the mark is something he does. He's a kayaker. He lives it, And now, just in terms of the branding, like all of our roasts are named after whitewater rapids on the Youghiogheny, if it's the lower Yaugh or the middle Yaugh or the upper Yaugh. So some of the swag we brought you are actual roast names, but they're like everything's based about like whitewater rafting and the
class
classes.
3.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how our darkness scale is going to be based off
Oh,
of
wow.
the rapid scale. So like this, for example, Lost and Found is our dark roast. It's this gnarly rapid up in on the upper
Let me see
Youghiogheny.
this sticker. This is awesome.
Yeah,
It's
these
like
are for you.
Oh, wow. It's
That's
a patch.
yeah.
It's like a skull.
Yeah, that's called Tombstone Rock. If you hit that rock when you're going down the rapid, it will literally kill you. So
Wow, that is awesome.
so that was just like we want, like I said, we just want to be authentic with everything that we do.
And it's the hardest thing to do now because we're in such like a world of saturation,
Yeah.
and it's like a podcast. There's a fucking million coffee shops. There's even more, and it's like, how could you, if there's a million, someone's doing something already. How could you make it your own? How could you stay authentic and true to yourself? And like, it's such like authenticity is such like a gross term now, and like so like.
not a lot of people actually do the stuff they preach.
Yeah, but it's like, but it's hard to like, with this world, it's like everyone's trying to put that finesse on. So it's like I kind of try to rely on like my judgment to find who really is doing it rather than just like saying they're doing it. You know what I mean? But now, where does Silver Horse come from?
so yeah.
Like a hipster coffee shop wouldn't have really made sense out in Donegal.
Yeah.
So we kind of went with like a country western theme, like the Durango out west,
Yeah.
because that's how everyone decorates their ski lodge. With the coffee shop in Pittsburgh, it's not going to be a Silver Horse. Like a Silver Horse wouldn't make sense in Pittsburgh. So
Yeah.
you have to like adapt to your environment. So show them like the shirt, like,
Yeah, and so like
and then we have our mascot too.
yeah, that's our
We
mascot.
have several-
Shout out
That's
Phil.
Oh my
Donegal
God.
Dave.
yeah, Donegal
That's for you.
Dave.
I appreciate that.
But like there are a couple models where you can be like, you go into a Starbucks and they sell Starbucks coffee there. Our coffee shop is Silver Horse Coffee. We have a standalone brand of Standing Wave Coffee Roaster, so that unit can go into other shops, be in terms of marketing completely distinct from Silver Horse.
That's what I was going to ask you. Like, do you plan on like sourcing out
It's
roasting
almost like
for other people?
we're franchising our beans.
Yeah.
Like I'll show up, I'll give you a Fetco brewer, a nice grinder, and my coffee, and I'll teach you how to make drip coffee. As long as you sell my beans, you get the best coffee equipment for free. So that's how it works.
I love
But
that.
if your business fails, it's not going to be because of my coffee.
Yeah.
So, but if I have a huge franchise that's all about my I have to. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
So like I can't be there all the time making sure that everything else in your business is run correctly. I'm just here for the coffee
Dedicated to the coffee.
and dedicated to the coffee, and I'm going to make you money as long
Yeah.
as you give me a place to sell
Yeah,
coffee.
because this is good.
Yeah, like
this
I
is
just,
really good.
And I've
awesome. Thank
I've
you.
really only roasted 1,220 pounds of coffee in my entire coffee roasting career. Most people don't buy these $60,000 coffee roaster without actually ever having roasted coffee. I went to a coffee roasting school in Kansas City. The guy that does like Chick-fil-A's coffee.
Yeah.
He started a company called Zoka out in Seattle. So his pedigree, he's trained like 5 barista world champions. He was on the SBA, like big dude like in coffee. So I went to like a 5-day roasting school with him, and then he came out when we got the roaster. So that's like my only formal like education
Yeah.
in coffee. But
Now,
I'm
where do
getting
you-
better and better.
Like, where do you do this roasting at?
So I have my roaster is at Steve's workshop. So
Yeah.
he has like that huge. He bought like a whole city block, and it used to be the mechanic shop for the rides for Kennywood.
Yeah.
So he lives on the first floor. He has this huge carpentry shop, and then a bottom floor. And my roasters in his workshop, and we bought the space next to it, and that's where the shop's going to be. And I'm also going to live above it. So we're going to put it, it was like an old Dairy Mart. So
That's
we
awesome.
have all this cool vintage ice cream equipment too.
So what's like now, like what's like the goal for you guys to, obviously Silver Horse is going to be its spot up there.
Yep.
Shipping container drive-throughs.
Shipping container.
So as I go to
drive-thrus.
Columbia, you end up with a shipping container. When you went out west and saw those drive-thrus,
Yeah.
I'm gonna since Steve's a contractor, I'm learning how he's building a tiny home in a shipping container right now. So I'm learning how to put walls up in it, put a floor in it.
Yeah.
And so as I get these containers, I'm gonna find regional locations where a drive-through just really, really makes sense. No bathroom, no retail.
Yeah,
like
it's just a drive-through.
I don't just a drive-through, and I'm gonna put in, I'm gonna put it around like these local colleges, like St. Vincent's or like Robert Morris, where you always have A, employees, and B, customers.
Yeah,
and I'm just gonna convince people to stop buying coffee at gas stations.
Yeah,
slowly but surely. And once I can have 4 or 5 coffee shops, I can get a couple containers every year, and that's when I'm rolling in the dough.
Wow.
That's my 5-year plan, as Stalin would say.
I love it. I think what you guys do is super interesting. I think that, it was, obviously I have people in here. I never know what people are going to be like. I have no idea. I had no idea what you were going to be like from just meeting you for 2 seconds there. Yeah. So it's like, but I'm used to it. It's like I've talked to funeral directors. I've talked to like
that episode, actually.
like weird ass people. So it's like
It's a weird one.
So you never know, like if it's going to be like Sphinx from Gone in 60 Seconds or like a Vincent Price creeper. But it's like you're pleasantly surprised by the conversations you have, and like hearing like your story and like how you guys like kind of wiggled your way into like this world, and how you're kind of like
we're still wiggling. We're just trying to. I like that. We're trying to figure it out, wiggling.
Yeah, I mean everyone's trying to figure it out, especially if it's not something that like you have formal training in. You don't have someone like holding your hand doing this. It's all just like it's part of the fun of the adventure. Is like you fuck up obviously and you do things wrong, but it's like you learn from it and then you keep doing it. But I enjoy it. I like that. The coffee is great though. I really do like it. It is not acidic at all, and like I would be honest with you, and I feel like I knew that it wasn't going to be something that I would dislike, because I've been to your coffee shop probably 10 times now, and it's like it's good.
I mean, no one noticed when we went from using Kelvin's coffee, and Jeff, like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
and then I went to my coffee, and no one knew the difference.
That's great.
So. I don't know.
That's I mean that's good. Yeah, if you don't have people complaining about shit, that's good.
We don't like complaints.
Let me ask you before we get to the ending segment. It's like if someone is just getting into coffee, how do you recommend them to get into it? Because I feel like you could throw someone into the wolves and be like you can have all this, all that kind. Like, what do you think is the best way for someone to get into it? Because I just had dinner with my buddy the other day. He's never drank coffee. He's never enjoyed it. I've made coffee for the last couple years, and like he's just like, I just don't like any coffee. But during this pandemic, he started drinking coffee, and he's starting to like appreciate it more and like learn from it more. And he's asking me all these questions. Like, how do you think the best way for someone to get introduced to coffee is?
Well, unfortunately, there's this little show called Shark Tank, and a company called Misto Box. I came up with that idea like years
What
and
is
years.
that?
It's a coffee subscription. So what I remember I told you I would go like best coffee in Portland.
Yeah.
I did that manually before all these coffee subscription companies came out. I'm telling you, if I would have came up with that idea.
I know there's a lot now that do that.
So what you want to do is you kind of have to get the equipment if you want to make it at home, because when you pay for coffee at a coffee shop, you're paying out the butt for it. Like it's expensive compared to how much you can make it for at home. So I would suggest getting in like a coffee kit. So you want to go to like a coffee shop's website. They're going to have like standard brew methods and the equipment. So you get the equipment, and then for variety, like I would get a subscription to like Misto Box, where you can go on and you can pick all these different coffees from all over the country and you
taste different ones.
Taste them, and it's exciting. You get this mail and you're like, oh, I get the new coffees for the week, and then you get all pumped up and you can read all about them, and it's like taking like a regional field trip every time you get new bags. Literally coming from some dude in a hat, hand picking this shit up on some mountain in Guatemala, and then you're drinking it in your house watching Netflix.
It's awesome.
I mean? Like, if you really think about that, it's kind of ridiculous. So.
Well, I feel like people don't think about it that much, because that's why I wanted to talk about it, because it's like anyone could attach themselves to anything if they gain interest in it. You can go as deep as you want. Just coffee is such like a passed over thing for a lot. I mean, it's getting more popular now for people to like be more inquisitive about it now. But it's like for years, it's just like older people, like parents. It's just I want the red Folgers, and it's so interesting. And it's just interesting to like see. Like people are getting more into it, just like beer and like you said, like a lot of other things. And I feel like that I feel like that, it could be overwhelming for people. And that's why, like, I asked the question, what's the best way to get into it? What kind of coffee do you think people should start out with?
You want to start out with like a medium roast, like get something like a Colombian, like a real kind of like staple. Brazil and Colombia produces coffee that most people can just generally drink. They'll roast it dark too. So Colombian, like a bigger bean can take like more heat, and so you can roast it like darker.
Yeah.
So don't get anything from Africa. Don't get anything from the Indonesia. Like, just try to get something from like a Colombian or some Brazilian coffees to start out with, and then kind of branch out into Latin America. You have your Costa Rican coffees. They're processed a little bit differently. They have a national process called a honey process. It's kind of essentially just letting it ferment.
Yeah.
Kind of like a natural. But like you get into your like I said, best coffee in the world comes from Guatemala, but you got to go find it.
Yeah.
Like a lot of green coffee buyers can't even get it because it's regionally unstable.
Yeah.
So like when I go onto these websites, I'll look for specific things. I want high altitude. I prefer from sea level to really high altitude really quick. That makes the better coffee. I look for a washed process.
Yeah.
That's going to be like the most appealing to people in general.
Yeah.
Don't get a natural process. Don't
that's
get that's like the more funky fruity ways. Like coffee is a fruit. I mean, it's a cherry.
Yeah. I didn't know that until I started
the washing
doing that.
process gets rid of like the fruit
The fruit
the
end
mucilage,
of it, and
the
leaves
pulp,
leaves the seed or the bean.
The cherry.
Yeah.
So whenever you wash it and have like the expensive process, like in Colombia with Brazil, because people have invested money, they have the capability of processing it to where you get like those milk chocolatey, nutty kind of flavors that I like.
Love it.
And that's what most people will start with. And that's just how your tastes start to develop. And then you'll go searching for the unique
I think
varieties.
That's why I don't like the medium, is because I think I started drinking black coffee just from like Starbucks black coffee.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like my palate immediately went to like that deeper.
Yeah, you want to get hit with it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's just other ways of doing it. A lot of people start out drinking mochas, and then they'll get a latte, and then they'll get a cappuccino, and then they'll get a cortado, and then they'll get an espresso, and that's just how like you just want less and less milk.
Yeah,
milk hides bad coffee, sugar hides bad coffee.
Absolutely.
So if you make a latte with caramel in it, you're gonna have like an inch of caramel, 4 inches of milk. You can spit in there and put the crappiest espresso shot in the world, and it's still going to taste like coffee.
I used to get a large Sheets coffee, 4 sugars and 3 vanilla creamers, and
some guy could have taken a crap in a
nowadays.
bag.
I'm just like, what? Like, what have I even done?
You don't know what you're drinking.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right.
So try it black, and then try it with cream, and then slowly kind of wean yourself off the dairy.
You think pour over is the best?
Oh yeah, for 30. I mean, this is $30. My grinder is the most expensive because I got a nice one, but $90. I mean, you can get a shitty $8 one. You're still gonna be fine.
Yeah,
like it would take a minute for you to really notice the
difference.
to
the naked eye. It's gonna do the same thing.
You can go online, get these for plastic like $8.
Yeah,
and then get the filters. I mean, this whole setup, and you use a kettle on the stove. You're out the door in $10. Boom, and it's not that much worse than mine.
Yeah,
but I just
I know I got to get me a nice setup like that.
Yeah, just go onto like a coffee website, like a roaster, and they'll have like merch.
Yeah,
you can just go see how they prefer their coffee to be brewed, and then you like an AeroPress. I love AeroPresses for camping; they're like the best.
Yeah,
I'll pre-grind coffee, put it in a mason jar, and take an AeroPress. Pop, you're done.
Yeah,
like I'm not. I used to drag this thing like everywhere.
I used to when we went to the Susquehannock and we hiked up there, and like I just had them powdered coffee, and it was
some coffee's better than no coffee. Dude.
I know, that's what I said. I was like, this will scratch the itch that I need in the morning, but I just don't want to lug all that shit around. But all right, so man, the cup is good. Like I'm honestly very, very into the flavor of it.
Well, we appreciate it, and we're hoping once these bags come, we're going to start hopefully
we'll send you some
volume.
coffee.
Yeah, I'm excited about it for sure with everything you're doing. But all right, so the ending segment that I do with everyone on the podcast is an ending segment called Desert Island Questions.
Everybody gather up, please. I think this is a perfect opportunity for all of us to participate in some really intense, psychologically revealing conversations. So we're going to be playing Desert Island. Desert Island. Desert Island.
Desert Island Questions is when we give any of the guests 3 categories to take with them to exhaust until expulsion. So the first category is 3 things to watch on a desert island. So you have to, you both have to do it. So you both have to pick 3 movies. So take turns or whatever.
Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World, Shawshank Redemption, and
Shawshank is my number
maybe
one.
Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction is a lot of people pick that. I think that is one of, just in my opinion, I enjoy it. I think it's like the most overrated Quentin Tarantino movie. But hey, to each their own. I do like it.
You don't even have to pay attention to it; it just goes on.
Yeah,
you don't know where you are in the movie.
I know. I know. It's weird.
Zone out.
All right, what about you?
Life Aquatic for sure. I really, if we're on the Tarantino, I watched back to back Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. For whatever reason, I'm not from the 60s, but that vibe that movie has.
Yeah, it was interesting.
I do enjoy it. Third movie, boy, this is dumb that I can't think of a movie.
Life Aquatic's a good one.
Yeah.
I'm a
Yeah,
big Steve Zissou supporter.
Life Aquatic is a good one.
Yeah, just I'll stay with 2.
Okay, that's fair. So the next set of questions, I usually ask people what books you would take with you, but I want to know what your favorite. I wasn't asked you like what's your 3 favorite coffees that you've had, like your 3 favorite roasts. Like you could pick books if you want. You got 3 books.
The Harry Potter series.
You like the Harry Potter series?
I couldn't read until I read Harry Potter.
There you go. What about you?
Catch-22 is a great book. Just in terms of coffee, I do want to say Pittsburgh is becoming a real coffee town. So
yeah.
That's awesome. And we couldn't have done it without La Prima. So shout out to La Prima.
Yeah.
Kelvin for sure.
Yeah.
And then we also have a good buddy in eastern Pennsylvania called Machina Coffee Roaster. Check them out. Very good.
It's pretty dope.
Okay. Third category is 3 CDs. You each have to pick 3 CDs.
Now that's what I call music. Volume 17. Shout out Cisco.
Is that the one Cisco's on?
Thong Tong. Viewers, don't check me on that. Second CD, huge Aqua Aquarium fan.
I've never even heard of that.
Oh my god, it's
Barbie
German
Girl?
techno pop Barbie Girl.
I thought Aqua Aquarium was one thing.
I think the album is called Aquarium. The band was Aqua. Probably the last CD I bought was that in 1996. And can I just do a podcast instead?
Yeah.
The Ezra Klein Show on Vox Media. Really great podcast.
About what?
It's about culture and politics.
Okay.
Vox Media, I don't know if you're familiar with them. They do phenomenal work with iconography and infographics. They do a lot of like YouTube videos where they'll take very difficult subject matters and just visually explain them, like everything from tax rates to climate change.
Oh, wow.
They are really powerful at conveying information. And Ezra Klein, he's the leader of the Vox media empire.
That's
but
interesting.
Just very thoughtful.
Just different ways to be able to consume that knowledge.
Yeah, and I think it's like a sticky modern way to like sort of educate and.
I like that.
Yeah, I wish
because it's such an easy way to like if you don't know the terminology and you're not like kind of well versed on that, it's easy to like wash that over. I don't really ever talk about politics on here, but it's like I never was into it ever until like 2016. It's like it became like something that as an adult I felt that I needed to know about. It was causing such a fucking stir.
Yeah.
You want to know what's going on, but before I never gave a shit about it, and it's almost so overwhelming to try to learn it.
Yeah.
But I'm getting there. All right, those are
just
good
growing
choices.
up. It's like, did we grow into that, or did it just become so consuming that we just had to listen?
It became so consuming because no other president or anything like that has ever been a spectacle like this.
Fair,
people, yeah. But what about you? 3 CDs.
I would say Lil Wayne's Carter 5.
Yeah, what a good one.
Mac Miller, Good AM, and maybe Circles.
Oh yeah, those are good choices.
Recently, yeah.
Very
or
good
maybe
choices.
Beer Bogs and Bentley's on there too.
Yeah, Post Malone is Post gets some hate in the rap world, but
I used to hate him.
Dude
I'm
kills
telling
it.
you.
He kills it.
Dude.
It's like hearing people talk shit on Drake. It's like
He was talking this morning. I had Drake on. I don't like Drake. Every girl likes
I was
Drake for a
pretty
reason.
hungover and trying to take a
yeah,
shower.
but it's like you hear about them versus battles. Do you know what those are?
No, it's like a freestyle.
No, it's like so like there's like a Instagram channel called like Versus, and they have been getting like two people like Snoop Dogg and DMX, and they'll go up against each other, and they each get to play like 15 songs, and then people vote at the end. They just had Jeezy and Gucci Mane do one the other day, but it's like if you put Drake up there, it's like probably the only person that has more hits that could probably do that. I know, but it's like
Post
people
Malone's got a ton of hits.
I know, but it's like people will still talk shit on them, but it's like, bro, like how can you talk shit on someone like that? You got to respect the finesse. But okay, so the third to last question is the death row meal. So you get to pick. You each get to pick a meal to eat before you die. Is wherever you want it, from wherever, as much as you want.
Uncle Sam's ultra pepper cheesesteak.
Wow, Uncle
Preferably
Sam's
the Fox
subs.
Chapel location.
Yeah. Okay.
Grew up on the cheesesteaks there. Best
Okay.
in the city.
Oh no, it ain't.
What?
No, I have to stand on my box. It ain't the best in the city. You been to Streets on Carson? On Carson Street? I'll put a $20 bill up on it right now. That's the best in the city. Fresh buns flown over from Philly. Salem's. You ever been to Salem's in the Strip too? It's like it's almost like a Middle Eastern market. Put a $20 bill on their cheesesteak too over Uncle Sam's.
Wow.
Bro, Uncle Sam's, that's like blasphemy that you even said that's the best.
Man. Uncle Sam's nostalgia.
I'm now hungry for
Been eating
Uncle
there
Sam's.
since day one.
I get that. Nostalgia factor, that's fine. But
They were closed yesterday, and Evan and I were pissed.
now what about you?
It's probably just corny, but like something like we come from restaurateurs. Like both our parents can wheel, and deal food. Chicken Milanese that my dad makes.
What's Milanese?
It's like
Chicken finger.
Yeah, you take time. You pulverize a chicken breast. It's like fried chicken. You coat it in egg. You coat it in seasons, and then you deep fry it. And it's just like a chicken fried steak almost. But my dad just crushes that game.
That sounds like it's right up my alley.
Oh yeah, we'll try
Massive
to.
chicken finger.
Okay. Second to last thing that I do is sponsored by Turner's Tea. You know, shout out to them. I do a thing called the Turner's Crate where I usually have guests pull a question out of the Turner's Crate that have been submitted by previous guests, but I've been recently just asking everyone the same question because I find it to be super fascinating. If you could each go into a gas station and you get to pick one snack, that's it, just one thing from the gas station to have, what would it be?
Funyuns.
Funyuns. Wow. It's been a minute since I had some Funyuns.
Yeah, I was just gonna say like a Middlesworth kettle cooked chip.
Oh,
You get
wow.
Millsworth around here. You got to import those.
It's gotta be kettle cooked though.
I love a chip, though. Chips are
Or baked
good.
potato chip.
Okay, and now the last question that I ask everyone is if you could have a conversation with anyone alive or dead, who would it be and why?
Boy howdy. Let's see.
Can I drink the rest of this? It's in here?
Yeah, totally.
I like to hang out with Bill Murray just to kick it.
Man, what a great answer, Bill Murray.
Bill Murray would be good.
Just to hear I hear he's such like a good person in real life.
Oh, yeah. Did,
I'd like to see Jimi Hendrix play guitar.
oh, that would be insane for sure. I have me and my dad bought this chest of drawers or whatever from a flea market. And, back in the day, they used to line shit with newspaper.
Yeah.
So I took the newspaper out, and it's the same day that his obituary is in there. It's a whole page of Jimi Hendrix's obituary from back then. And I just have that rolled up. But it was such like a weird thing that it's like, I went to pull that out of the drawer, and like someone used that day to do it.
What a weird newspaper to choose to line.
Definitely interesting. But,
I would have ripped.
man, Bill Murray, insane. I just watched a movie recently with Bill Murray called St. Vincent. You ever see
Oh
that?
yeah, he's like he like takes
The mean
care of
old
family.
man.
Yeah.
Man, such a good movie. All right, so I appreciate you guys like taking the time to come down and talk to me about what you do. I think that it was
Thanks for having us.
a great episode. I think it was very interesting.
Over here in Ingram.
Yeah, you're crushing it on the podcast
Ingram.
game.
Yeah.
I watched yours on YouTube. I don't know how to get a podcast, to be honest, but
That's all right. It's
multimedia.
Yeah, they got you can get it on Spotify even.
Yeah.
Spotify, anywhere you could get
Your
podcasts.
stickers are cool. I got one in my water bottle.
I appreciate that. I take pride in my my merchandising
They're
and my
legit
logos.
sticker.
Thank you. Local, made local. I'll feed you the guy after this, but give anyone who's listening where they could find you, where your storefront is, and what your Instagram handle is.
Yeah, so you can find our shop, Silver Horse Coffee in Donegal, PA. There's one road through Donegal, PA, so if you're going through, you can't miss us.
Before Seven Springs.
Before Seven Springs. But our coffee, Standing Wave Coffee Roasters, coming online here in the next few weeks, December of this year, 2020. You can find us at Silver Horse Coffee or at Standing Wave Coffee.
There you go. I appreciate it, guys. Everyone that's listening, I appreciate it as usual. Please rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. That's all I ask of you. It costs $0, 2 minutes of your time. We got good episodes. Keep coming, and I'll call you right back.